This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp.
Zoink! How you guys doing? And thank you up there to Kubi and It Was Me and Georgina Stoliker. Why don't you all make it you? You know? Don't make it just be her. Or he, or whatever that is. It's just me, or whatever. What does it say? It was me isn't really a gender-specific term, right? It needs to say something like it was me. You know, something like that. I think that would help. So, if any of you, again, I told you about Tulsa King. Every day, it's weird. There's something on that show that makes me laugh just while sitting here, even though it's kind of like a serious, ish. You know, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's sort of like how a romantic comedy would be, but it's not really romantic. Not sure what the term is for like a drama comedy, drom-com or something. I do love the show. You know, like one of the funny things, I was taking a shower earlier and I started laughing in the shower, and my wife was like, "What the hell are you laughing at?" And I said, "Oh, well, there was this time, see, because the Sylvester Stallone character was an ex-mob guy. Still kind of is mob, but he was in prison for 25 years to protect the other mob members, but they treated him like garbage when he came out. So they sent him to Tulsa, Oklahoma to start it up. New ventures, you know. And so he finally got a driver's license. I don't think he's ever had one before. So he went in to get a driver's license, and he was in there, and he's you know how you take a picture with your driver's license looking forward? He looks forward, and then he turns to the side, and then he turns to the other side, and the guy's like, "What the hell what are you doing?" And he was just so used to the mugshot thing that's what he did in there. I don't know, something about that was funny to me. And then also, you know, they provide protection. You know how mob members, they provide protection to get their little cut of all the stores around? And, yeah, so he went into he goes, "Wow, look at this marijuana place." So it was a dispensary, like a place that's legal. You know, and he goes in there, and somehow he was able to convince the guy, because I think he was scared of him, to give him 20% of the weekly take for a pot dispensary, because he keeps the money in the safe. But then it was kind of interesting, because now that guy sort of likes him. They, you know, they went to the person where they buy it from, and he negotiated these crazy reductions in price. And the guy was, now he's like, "Oh, wow." So, I mean, he made back his 20%, but he got his 20. I don't know. It's pretty funny, though. You got to see it. It's not like hilarious. There's just moments where it's funny. You know, I don't know what it is. Sometimes somebody will just piss him, like, say something he doesn't like, and he just absolutely crushes their face with a punch. I mean, just, you know, and then he just goes back to doing what he was doing. I don't know. Anyways. Oh, yeah, you watched that one? Now, here's one thing about the video earlier, just so you know, is there are a lot of people that are saying that that it's been not debunked, but there was an error possibly on. I mean, it's hard to believe you'd make an error on such a huge probable cause document like that. But you know, you gotta, you know, there's a possibility. So I sent an email to the actual corporal who wrote the probable cause document, and we'll see if it leads to anything. But yeah, in some ways it makes a little more sense even, because there's a Johnson right there, see? And that's right in the area where the you know, the Elantra drove like this. See, a lot of people don't have this route. They have it go down here, but I looked at the probable cause and found the only roads that make the design that they've got. So he was on some crazy roads. So let me just show you this really quick. I'm going to get to something else first, but I just want to show you, like, they think he drove on roads like that just go absolutely in the middle of nowhere. And you can just see they just go through this winding farmland, driving around, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not even sure what kind of land that is. And then makes his way to Uniontown over here. The main highway comes down like this. So that's what they think. But look, there's a Johnson right there, right? Now this person under my video goes, "There's no Johnson, Idaho." Right? Like, you said it 100 times, but when you, if I turn off the map, everything that I've put on there, look, there's a place right there called Johnson, Weepy, Cooper, Pierce, Hollywood. So to me, that means Johnson, that little area there is called Johnson. Now there's right here is a road that's named after someone with the name of Johnson, but so could this little area here be named after a person named Johnson. So if it is a different place, hey, thanks, Andy T. I'm glad you guys like those videos. If it is a different place, then I'll just update it and change it. It doesn't change anything in terms of there's 6 hours of missing time. It just means his car drove back up north, so then I'd have to edit that part and just the last part of the video, and I would just re-upload it and fix it. Okay, but there's no way for me to know for certain that they're referring to the Johnson, Washington, just south of Pullman there. But it does make sense in a way, right? Like, he drove up there, and then his phone pinged at 5:30. And that's interesting, right? Because maybe that's when he did what I was suggesting. He drove back into the area. Let me turn him back on again. There's so many things here. So after he killed the 4 people, he drove like this. This is how he went home, they say in the affidavit, like that. So maybe around in this point, and I actually put in cell towers. So there's one there in Bald Butte. There's one here, and also down in this area where the other Johnson, Idaho is. There's these 4 towers up on different mountains. It's pretty interesting. I mean, it's pretty obvious that they would do it that way, but there's a right there on top of that one. There's one on top of this right here. And then apparently there's one here on that hill. You know, so it's not like these are listed. These are ones that are registered here. And then one up on top of that one. All right. So anyways, that's all I'm going to say right now on that part, but we'll get back to that later. More buttes than an ashtray around here. Do ashtrays have buttes? Is that what they're called? Those little... All right. Hey, thank you up there to Annie T and LMM. Watched it 5 times. Awesome. You know, that got screwed, though. They finally fixed the views on the video from yesterday. Guess how many views there was on it when I woke up? or not when I woke up, a few hours into the day, it was at 95,000 views instead of the 11 or whatever the hell it was. But they screwed me over on the ad revenue on that video. Well, you know what it's really at, Melanie? It's higher than that. That's just the number that you see. I have an analytics thing that's way ahead of the published. Like, what does it say right now on the video that I just put out earlier? Can anybody look at that one, the one from earlier in the day? Usually it just says the same number over and over. 5.4 thousand, right? Do you guys see that? Isn't that ridiculous? So when you look at that, you'd say, wow, nobody's watching the damn thing. Here, but let's show you this one right here. Hit the analytics button. And here are the real views right there. So it's 22,700 and 101 subscribers came from that. Okay, that's the actual view number right there. So when it gets updated, that's what'll pop in there. But it's weird how it doesn't show it there. So then you wonder if people don't watch it because of that. It's pretty wild, isn't it? I don't know if that's just for me or if that's for everybody, but it's really frustrating. And the thing is finally on some of these videos, there's ad revenue. And they screwed me over on the one big one that I had. No, they gave me, well, they did give some ad revenue, but it was like, I had a video the other day that had like 60,000, 70,000, maybe, I think it was might have been 80,000 views, but it had like 400 in ad revenue, which is a miracle, and which helps out tremendously in terms of at the end of the month doing the charity stuff. But the, this video had 95 and only had 100 and something bucks. You know, it's like there's no way they didn't screw that over. I think they just blew it and they didn't keep track of it after they had an error, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, it sucks to spend that many hours making something to have them screw it up. Good evening. Yeah, so. All right, so let's get to the, there's a missing girl named Athena Brownfield. And here is some...
Yeah, Abby, Jess, you know the hope is still there from the look of this. The streets are still lined with cars here. Now, the search happened all day long, and as the sun has set, it's just law enforcement.
Yeah, let me just, it says, authorities are searching for 4-year-old Athena Brownfield. She has blonde hair and was last seen wearing a butterfly hoodie. The investigation into Athena's disappearance started around 2 p.m. Tuesday after a mail carrier, which is, that's so weird that we have another case with, you know, remember the FedEx one earlier? But this one, I don't think has anything to do with it. Now let me get, I'm trying to find the, I have a folder already set up here. And this is this is the third case that I've done with a person named Athena. And that just shows you that you cover a lot of cases, right? I mean, Athena is not like the most common name in the world. Okay, it's in this small little town here. Gosh, I've already, oh, is it Cyril? Cyril, Oklahoma. C-Y-R-I, yeah, there it is. C-Y-R-I-L there. So it's a really tiny little community here. And this is the home right here. Kind of a, you know, quaint little town here, but I think it's right there, that one. So just trying to kind of picture this. It's a pretty weird story here. And then some, I think it was Zozo sent me a comment that a family friend or somebody made, so I was going to read that too. Seems to have some validity to it, just based on there's a press conference. Oklahoma law enforcement and FBI have conducted searches and an investigation into the disappearance. Did we already? This is the one we're on, yeah. Let's see. Let me start over again. The investigation into Athena's disappearance started around 2 p.m. Tuesday, which is yesterday, after a mail carrier found unattended 5-year-old girl so that means her and her sister were out and about, whom OSBI says is Athena's sister, near their home at the 200 block of West Nebraska in Cyril. One of the articles had the exact address in there. Brooke Arbeitman with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said law enforcement is working to put together an exact timeline of when Athena was last seen. We are still working on putting together the exact timeline, but again, I can confirm that this investigation really kicked off yesterday at 2 p.m. when the postal carrier located the 5-year-old and contacted the police department. And then we got involved later that night. So they must have been able, a 5-year-old can communicate. So they must have better information. And then we got involved later that night, Arbeiten said. Then, of course, all of our law enforcement partners have joined in. All right, so I do have a press conference here. Let me show you her. Well, she's on the thumbnail if you didn't see it. Well, is it down here? There it is.
We've been out all day conducting those grid searches with volunteers, and we really appreciate
more coming out of the right
along
side.
with OHP support in managing that effort. We are collecting items that could be relevant. I'm not going to call them evidence, but we are finding things around town that could be helpful in this case. One of the questions from this morning was about the health and condition of the 5-year-old that was found yesterday. Excuse me. We can report that she did not require medical care. At the time, of course, she was frightened. That goes without saying when you're a 5-year-old. She's currently in protective custody with the state, but she did not require any sort of medical care at the time. We really appreciate all the tips that have been called in to our tip line. We encourage anybody in town, whether you're a business owner or a resident, that if you have any sort of video cameras or Ring doorbell systems, if you can...
I don't know, Gummo, we haven't got to that part yet, have we?
Come down to the church and provide that to law enforcement. It will be very beneficial. Let's see. We're still working on putting together the exact timeline, but again, I can confirm that this investigation really kicked off yesterday about 2 p.m. when the postal carrier located the 5-year-old and contacted the police
Sorry, I didn't
department.
realize this was mono coming out of one side.
And then we got involved later that night. And then, of course, all of our law enforcement partners have joined us, and we've been looking for her nonstop since the original call came into the police department. With that, I'm going to let Trooper Foster answer some questions about OHP resources that are out here and also address the Amber Alert.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the Oklahoma Highway Patrol was requested last night, and obviously we're here to assist. And so we brought all of the resources that are available to be able to come and assist. We've been in the air with helicopter, with infrared. We've been on the ground. Obviously, you've seen around town there are a lot of grid searches on foot going around and on four-wheelers, things like that. And so our ERT team, which is a team specially trained to go on foot in search of people and things, are out in coordination with civilians who have come and wanted to volunteer their time and effort. And that's really a great thing to see, especially in Oklahoma. We see that all the time. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol also is utilizing boats on some of these small ponds out here to make sure that we check waterways.
How come you guys aren't letting the story develop on here and reading ahead somewhere?
and check those thoroughly to make sure all of that is done appropriately with sonar and things like that we can see in the water. And so the Oklahoma Highway Patrol is very much involved in just assisting whatever needs to be done that is requested from OSBI and the city of Surreal. You know, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved. And really, you know, I reach out and say, pray for all of those involved, not just on the law enforcement side, but there are a lot of people, there are a lot of civilians, there are a lot of resources being put into this that, you know, that this is done appropriately. To answer the Amber Alert question, there have been a lot of questions on the Amber.
No, Eddie, it's coming out of the right side. Get better speakers or whatever the hell you're using.
Alert. The Amber Alert has specific guidelines that we have to adhere to push out the Amber Alert specifically. The Amber Alert goes out nationwide. So once we push that button, it goes all the way to Washington, D.C. and goes out like that. So there's specific things and guidelines that we have to follow. Not every part of that guideline came into play in this. And so that wasn't done. So the next best thing that we could do was a missing and endangered notification. That went out in a 15-mile radius in around where we knew that the person was missing. And so that's why you didn't get it statewide. Those emergency alerts didn't go statewide. It went locally, and that was really the important time frame that we needed to get that out.
Yeah, so all we know right now, other than the people in the chat that are just so like antsy to put out what they've already read about, is that there's two girls that, I mean, nobody knew that they were even missing, but a 5-year-old, one of the sisters, was found walking on the street by a postal worker, and the 4-year-old sister that was with the 5-year-old is missing. So the key to the case currently is probably going to be the 5-year-old, who knows exactly what the circumstances were, why they were walking around, or however they got into that situation.
And it was pushed on social media. All of the news outlets were able to get that immediately. And so it was done in a very efficient way by guidelines. And there are reasons for those guidelines. The Department of Justice puts out those guidelines.
Here, I'm just going to pause it. I'm going to read this other thing first now, because you guys seem just way too antsy. You know, everybody's just coming up with shit already without knowing anything, and I can't stand it. So somebody on Facebook posted this. It's a family member, okay? So it says, this person said, so take it with a grain of salt, everybody. I can't verify any of it, but it sounds legitimate. It says, I am a family member of Athena Brownfield. I have followed, and it says there's a website that does true crime, for a very long time. These are the facts that we know of now. Before I start, we just found out all of this out last night. Like everybody else, we have plenty of members, including myself, that would have taken the girls. We just didn't know anything. Athena and her older sister, Adina, the 5-year-old, were in the care of another family member, not the bio parents. So stepdad. There was no custody order at all in place. They were just being cared for by another family member. They spelled were with an apostrophe in the middle. There were a total of 6 kids in the house, 4 that belonged to the couple, and 2 that were another family members, Adina and Athena. The wife left a week ago, and nobody knew where she was later. I don't know, so when it says another family member, Adina and Athena, so it sounds like there was a mother and father that had 4 kids, but Adina and Athena were related to somebody else. The wife left a week ago, and nobody knew where she was. Later on, found out she was in the city, staying with a new boyfriend. All 6 kids were left with the husband. Okay? Saturday, the husband showed up in Arizona with his 4 kids. So it was his 4 kids and the lady that left him. And so so right immediately you go, well then who in the hell was taking care of Adina and Athena at this time? Does this start to make sense? And by the way, on this channel, you guys fully support the channel. There is very little income coming in except recently on some of the videos. But if you guys would like to help to support the channel with the super chats, channel memberships, that allows me to then, I have committed on my channel to try to donate over 50% of the net revenue to charities, okay? And that's true crime-related charities. Like we just gave $1,000 the other night to RAIN, which is violence against women, all right? So you guys are really the sole income for the channel. So on a nightly basis, the freaks help support the channel memberships, all of it makes a difference. And the ad revenue is what sort of allowed us to give even more money to the charities the last few months. But there's some nights, I mean, some days I don't make videos, and then there is no ad revenue, okay? So that's just something that if you can afford it, great. If you can't, hit the like button. And also, if you feel like you just want to send your money directly to a charity, you can just go do that. But if you want to help support me, do what I do, and allow me to keep doing this, then that's how to do it. I actually believe this document that I'm reading here. This thing that I'm reading. It sounds absolutely like how it went. All right. Hey, thanks, Melissa South. I forgot to say that at the beginning, so I thought I'd throw it in there. But I believe this thing that we're reading here. So, let's see. Saturday, the husband showed up in Arizona with his 4 kids and told all of our family the other 2 were dropped off with the other grandparent. Okay, so keep that in mind. The mail lady was delivering mail yesterday when Athena walked out crying and said she was hungry. Oh, weird. So the kid was just left in the home alone and then walked out and said she was hungry. It wasn't like she was, oh, that's crazy. Out crying and said she was hungry and couldn't find her sister. The mail lady stepped in the house, found there were no adults, and contacted authorities. See, I actually think this is exactly how it went. Makes way more sense. The authorities contacted the owner of the house, which is another local family member, and he told them who actually lived in the house. They contacted the wife, and she stated she left all the kids with their husband, and she didn't leave them there by themselves. Okay, hold on. The authorities contacted the owner of the house, which is another local family member, and she told them who actually lived in the house. They contacted the wife, and she stated she left all the kids with her husband, and she didn't leave them there by themselves. Right, so that makes sense. The authorities located, but it doesn't make sense that she would leave her kids there, that's for sure, okay? I mean, it's disgusting, really. Hey, thank you, Trish Escaped. And Gummo. This is starting to make sense. I think to me it makes complete sense at this point. I mean, that's why it sounds legitimate, because it makes sense. It's a family member. I mean, it'd be hard to make this up and have everything work so perfectly like it. They contacted the wife, and she stated, so when she left to go with her boyfriend, she left all the kids with her husband, all 6 of them, 4 of their own and like 2 from somebody else. And then the authorities located the husband in Arizona with his kids. So that's a true story, I guess. And he told them he dropped them off with the other grandparent, which is obviously not true. We aren't super sure exactly what day it was she was last seen. Also, she's not nonverbal. She's just super quiet and super shy. Both of these people are at fault, no matter which story is true. I mean, totally agree with that. However, right now, the one thing I want to focus in on is not pointing fingers, is where is Athena? We are asking anybody in the area, please check your properties and your camera if you have any. But so does that help out like tremendously right there? I mean, I know we have to take it with a grain of salt. It just sounds absolutely legitimate to me. And the grandmother almost kind of confirms it down in this interview here. She sort of jumps in. You can tell the person speaking isn't really happy with any of these people. All right. Thank you, Mary Crossley. Adniram. And welcome, Mindy Lamento. Here we
help
go.
us kind of put that together.
Sorry, I wasn't able
so
to
that's kind of the answer on that.
make it come out of both monitors. I just recorded and it sounded right.
I just want to conclude with a couple of things. There's a lot of talk about this investigation on social media. Obviously, we can't stop that, but it can be counterproductive to the investigation. So I would encourage people not to report or spread rumors or innuendos that they see on social media. And lastly, I think on behalf of all of us here and involved, all of the volunteers, we would like to thank the community. If you haven't been inside, there's just been an outpouring of food and water for the law enforcement and the searchers here and the volunteers that are giving their time and energy to finding her. The restaurants, the churches, the volunteers here, we really appreciate them, and obviously couldn't continue this investigation without their help. We'll take a few questions. I'm just going to be honest, guys. That's pretty much what we know at this point in time. So I don't know how many questions we'll be able to answer, but certainly you can try.
How old is Athena? We've seen 3 and we've seen 4.
We can confirm she's
And
4.
thanks, Mike
Originally we
D.
thought she was
Experience.
3, but she is 4.
Thank you.
Where are the parents right now?
And Stephen Kellogg.
That's part of
20
the
months.
ongoing investigation.
I'm the maternal grandmother.
Okay, right there.
Okay.
My son's
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we get it. Yeah. Hold on a second.
Parents right now.
Where are the parents right now? See, that's why this makes way more sense, right? They don't know where the parents are. That's part of their investigation. I mean, they probably have an idea where they are. But that's why when you read, once you hear this, and then I just read you that the statement that a family member made, it makes complete sense because they're like,
That's part of the ongoing
that's part of the ongoing. Now look, then the
investigation.
I'm the maternal grandmother.
so the mother who took off, this is her mother right here. Okay, so the mother that took off, this is her mom talking right now.
Okay.
My son's informed, dealing with what he needs to deal with.
Says my son has been informed what he needs to deal with. All right.
4.
We can confirm she's 4. Originally we thought she was 3, but she is 4.
Thank you.
Where are the parents right now?
That's part of the ongoing investigation.
I'm
Isn't that weird that she would just jump in like that?
the maternal grandmother.
Says I think she says maternal.
Parents right now.
That's part of the ongoing investigation.
I'm the maternal grandmother.
Okay, listen, I'm actually gonna let me get the audio fixed on this thing. I think it'd be so much clearer. Do you guys mind waiting a minute? But there's also the potential that everything will just crash, okay? But I'll just come right back on, so if you're patient, I'll be right back, okay? If it happens to break down, but I gotta get this thing fixed here. Oh wait, I've actually had it open this whole time, so man, that's a miracle just in itself. All right, hold on. Might take a minute. There it is. It'll sound so much better, and we'll be able to hear it better. So just a second. It's pretty much a pretty crazy night of stuff here. Ew, that wasn't it. Make both sides the right. And then let me make this a little louder over here. All right, guys. I might be crashing any minute now. You never know. Hey, thank you very much, Tosh, up there. Holding my breath. Yeah, you never know with this thing. There's a issue with Adobe Premiere and OBS, obviously. Only happens when they're both open at the same time. There it is. The battle of OBS and Adobe Premiere, see? Some people actually pay attention on here. It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. I'll play the whole thing again for those who are struggling. If it works, though, that's the thing. We're at 38%. It's already running kind of slow. We'll see, man. We'll see. Hey, thanks, Donna. Appreciate it. Yeah, I know I'm not the, you know, there's a lot of people that don't like me in the true crime world too, but at least there's people that like what I do. That's good. And that's merely because I call out stuff that I think is totally bogus, you know. Yeah. Somebody just sent me the 360-degree walkthrough through the house, and I'm like, yeah, we've shown that 100 times. Not, you know, the other, there was somebody that made a 360-degree thing. Yeah, that's been like a month old. There was somebody, sounds like a younger person who made a 3D version where they sliced through the house where you could see everything. I thought that was pretty good. For sure. Thank you on PayPal. I guess I'll just at the end to let's see. Love your show. Red Freak pen. Oh, you want the Red Freak pen? Okay. If I forget the, you know, you get the black one. And let's see. Sherry Worthington, Miss Angels, Garden Girl 9, and I think it's a Lillian H, a different Lillian, but hey, thank you so much, very generous, thank you very much. Said in support of all the great work you do on YouTube. Well, thank you very much. All right, looks like it made it, and now if I can just, that looks good. It looks like it might be safe. And here we go.
We've been out all day.
How's that? Isn't that way better? Let's just listen to the whole thing.
Conducting those grid searches with volunteers, and we really appreciate their support along with OHP support in managing that effort. We are collecting items that could be relevant. I'm not going to call them evidence, but we are finding things around town that could be helpful in this case. One of the questions from this morning was about the health and condition of the 5-year-old that was found yesterday. Excuse me. We can report that she did not require medical care. At the time, of course, she was frightened. That goes without saying when you're a 5-year-old. She's currently in protective custody with the state, but she did not require any sort of medical care at the time. We really appreciate all the tips that have been called in to our tip line. We encourage anybody in town, whether you're a business owner or a resident, that if you have any sort of video cameras or Ring doorbell systems, if you can come down to the church and provide that to law enforcement, it will be very beneficial. Let's see. We're still working on putting together the exact timeline, but again, I can confirm that this investigation really kicked off yesterday about 2 p.m. when the postal carrier located the 5-year-old and contacted the police department. And then we got involved later that night. Then, of course, all of our law enforcement partners have joined us, and we've been looking for her nonstop since the original call came into the police department. With that, I'm going to let Trooper Foster answer some questions about OHP resources that are out here and also address the Amber Alert.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the Oklahoma Highway Patrol was requested last night, and obviously we're here to assist. And so we brought all of the resources that are available to be able to come and assist. We've been in the air with helicopter, with infrared. We've been on the ground. Obviously, you've seen around town there are a lot of grid searches on foot going around and on four-wheelers, things like that. And so our ERT team, which is a team specially trained to go on foot in search of people and things, are out in coordination with civilians who have come and wanted to volunteer their time and effort, and that's really a great thing to see, especially in Oklahoma. We see that all the time. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol also is utilizing boats on some of these small ponds out here to make sure that we check waterways and check those thoroughly to make sure all of that is done appropriately with sonar and things like that we can see in the water. And so the Oklahoma Highway Patrol is very much involved in just assisting whatever needs to be done that is requested from OSBI and the city of Surreal. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved, and really, I reach out and say, pray for all.
I guess it's Dr. Surreal Wecht.
Of those involved, not just on the law enforcement side, but there are a lot of people. There are a lot of civilians. There are a lot of resources being put into this. That this is done appropriately. To answer the Amber Alert question, there have been a lot of questions on the Amber Alert. The Amber Alert has specific guidelines that we have to adhere to push out the Amber Alert specifically. The Amber Alert goes out nationwide. So once we push that button, it goes all the way to Washington, D.C. and goes out like that. So there's specific things and guidelines that we have to follow. Not every part of that guideline came into play in this. Sure. And so that wasn't done. So the next best thing that we could do was a missing and endangered notification. That went out in a 15-mile radius in around where we knew that the person was missing. And so that's why you didn't get it statewide. Those emergency alerts didn't go statewide. It went locally, and that was really the important time frame that we needed to get that out. And it was pushed on social media. All of the news outlets were able to get that immediately. And so it was done in a very efficient way by guidelines. And there are reasons for those guidelines. The Department of Justice puts out those guidelines to help us put that together. And so that's kind of the answer on that. Brooke?
Yeah. I just want to conclude with a couple of things. There's a lot of talk about this investigation on social media. Obviously, we can't stop that, but it can be counterproductive to the investigation. So I would encourage people not to report or spread rumors or innuendos that they see on social media. And lastly, I think on behalf of all of us here and involved, all of the volunteers, we would like to thank the community. If you haven't been inside, there's just been an outpouring of food and water for the law enforcement and the searchers here and the volunteers that are giving their time and energy to finding her. The restaurants, the churches, the volunteers here, we really appreciate them, and obviously couldn't continue this investigation without their help. We'll take a few questions. I'm just going to be honest, guys, that's pretty much what we know at this point in time. So I don't know how many questions we'll be able to answer, but certainly you can try.
How old is Athena? We've seen 3.
I'm not even sure what a tragedy pimp is that you typed in up there. Simple Life Days. What is that? I mean, is a true crime? I mean, isn't it like just having a true crime channel? I try to put out the factual information, but I guess there's channels that they just kind of go to the next really big tragedy all the time. You know, like I could see this case if it gets just a slight bit bigger. You know, somebody with a bullhorn might, or, you know, blowhorn, whatever you want to call it, bullhorn, might go out there and start screaming at somebody. Is that what you're talking about?
And we've seen 4.
We can confirm she's 4. Originally, we thought she was 3, but she is 4.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what a pimp is, though, either. I mean, like, I know what a pimp is in the sex working world, but I don't really know how it works in here, because what are you... I don't really get it. I don't really get the reference, basically.
Where are the parents right now?
That's part of the ongoing investigation.
I know she wasn't referring to me. I'm just asking you the question.
What he needs to deal with.
Okay.
I have another question. So when was she last seen? We've seen Sunday, we've seen Friday. When was the last time she was seen?
Well, as I mentioned, we're still building that timeline, and we're working and talking to witnesses and neighbors and people in town to build out that timeline. What I can confirm to you, that is not rumor or innuendo, is that this investigation began at 2 o'clock yesterday. That's part of the ongoing investigation.
See, right here, this is where the maternal grandmother speaks.
I'm the maternal grandmother.
I'm the maternal grandmother.
Okay.
My
And
son.
see her face like, okay. And then she says, my son. So who's the son? I mean, the thing is, maternal grandmother means that the mother is her child, and then the mother is the parent of the 2 kids. But then she says, my son.
Maternal grandmother.
Okay.
My son's informed, dealing with what he needs to deal with.
Okay, so her son informed the mother. Let me see what if he says she.
Maternal grandmother.
Okay.
My son's informed, dealing with what he needs to deal with.
No, it says what he. So apparently her son informed the husband what he needs to deal with.
Okay.
I have another question. So when was she last seen? We've seen Sunday,
That didn't go over really well with her, I can tell you that.
we've seen Friday. When was the last time she was seen?
Well, as I mentioned, we're still building that timeline, and we're working and talking to witnesses.
No, she said maternal grandmother. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like, who is she the grandmother of? The 4 kids? Because I still don't really have a good idea of who the parents are of the 2, the 2 girls that were left alone, Athena and Athena.
And neighbors and people in town to build out that timeline. What I can confirm to you, that is not rumor or innuendo, is that this investigation began at 2 o'clock yesterday.
Okay, so you
when
think
her
it
5-year-old
is
sister was
paternal?
located by the postal carrier.
That's when we found out.
I have a question. Has
See, she jumps in again. That's when we found. Really? Bullshit.
Sunday, we've seen Friday. When was the last time she was seen?
Well, as I mentioned, we're still building that timeline, and we're working and talking to witnesses and neighbors and people in town to build out that timeline. What I can confirm to you, that is not rumor or innuendo, is that this investigation began at 2 o'clock yesterday when her 5-year-old sister was located by the postal carrier.
That's when we found out.
I have a question.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I didn't ask you when you found out, but you're trying to insinuate that you found out then, so probably likely what you're telling me isn't true.
Has today's search brought any progress? I know there's been some people saying they may have picked up the scent of railroad tracks, anything like that.
Nothing at this point.
Kind of makes you wonder if something really bad happened to Athena, and then that guy took off with his 4 kids, but left the other kid there anyways. I don't know, or just left them there. How irresponsible is that? That's on a level that's not normal. I mean, you can't even come up with anything that matches that.
Point that I can confirm, we're still very actively looking for her using all of our tools thanks to OHP and our other law enforcement partners. Like I did say, we are finding things that we hope might give us clues as to where she is. We're still actively looking for her.
Is there a chance that this investigation will spread outside of this area, outside of just the city in
There's
general?
always a
At this
chance.
point in time, we're here, we're staying in town, we're looking in town, and we'll see what happens with as the investigation progresses.
Does temperature or terrain pose any kind of concern right now?
We were talking about a toddler who's been on her own, so I would say yes.
Can you give a description of her and what she might have been wearing?
Description is difficult. I believe we were last told she was reporting or wearing a butterfly hoodie. She's blonde. She's 4. Her picture's on social media. I can confirm that's her if you want to share that. But that's what we've got so far.
What will the search effort look like going forward through the night?
That's an excellent question. It's obviously going to be ongoing. We're going to be here until it moves into a different phase. So.
There it is. That was Coco News 5 News. There you go. Their press conference there. Links in the description. Check it out. Why the hell is she even at the press conference? I don't know what she's doing there. It's pretty weird. But, yep, you guys were in this mode. It's called the press conference doldrums. That's amazing. All right, let me get to. So I'll read this again one more time for people that got here later. This is apparently from a family member on Facebook. Zozo sent it to me. It says, I'm a family member of Athena Brownfield. I have followed this one channel, like a Facebook page for a while, TCS, for a very long time. These are the facts that we know of now. Before I start, we just found all of this out last night, like everybody else. We have plenty of members, including myself, that would have taken the girls. We just didn't know anything. Well, thanks. The Mike D Experience. And then Athena and her older sister, Adina, were in the care of another family member, not the bio parents. So the bio parents have 4 children, but they were in the care of another family member, but not the bio parents. So they were not in the care of the bio parents. There was no custody order at all in place. They were just being cared for. I see. I get it. They were being cared for by a couple that already had 4 kids. All right. There were a total of 6 kids in the house, so 4 by the people taking care of Adina and Athena that belonged to the couple. 2 that were another family members, and that's Adina and Athena. The wife left, so now when she says wife, is that out of the I think that she's referring to the 2 parents that had 4 kids. The wife left a week ago, and nobody knew where she was. Later on, found out she was in the city staying with a new boyfriend. All 6 kids were left with the husband. Now this husband has his own 4 kids and Adina and Athena. He's probably stressed out. Saturday, the husband showed up in Arizona with his 4 kids and told all of our family the other 2 were dropped off with the other grandparent. So I'm not sure when you say the other grandparent. Like, what does that even mean? The mail lady was delivering mail yesterday when Adina walked out of the house crying and said she was hungry. So here's what I think. I think they were abandoned by those 2 non-related people that were taking care of them, and they were just left there. And Saturday, the husband showed up in Arizona. Okay, mail lady was delivering mail yesterday when Adina walked out crying and said she was hungry and couldn't find her sister. The mail lady stepped in the house, found there were no adults, and contacted authorities. The authorities contacted the owner of the house, which is another local family member, and he told them who actually lived in the house. The authorities contacted the owner of the house, which is another local family. Wow, so you had these 2 people with their own 4 kids living in somebody else's house, but they were also taking care of Adina and Athena, who are the children of somebody else that we're not aware of at this point. The authorities located the husband in Arizona with his kids, so apparently he was found, and he told them he dropped them off with the other grandparent, which is obviously not true. I don't know what that means when you say the other grandparent. We haven't established any other grandparent. We aren't super sure exactly what day it was she was last seen. Also, she's not nonverbal. She's just super quiet and super shy. Both of these people are at fault no matter which story is true. I agree with that. Anyways, it goes on to some other opinions. So that's wild, right? I think that's a true story there. So what we could do now is just kind of look around a little bit. Maybe go up in the air, and we'll just have to wait for updates because that's about it. I'm not even going to read through the articles that I have because that right there has way more than any article would have. Whoever wrote that. So there are ponds around, not far away. A lot of waterway. I mean, just tons of little creeks and ponds. I mean, look at just in that picture there. Lots and lots of ponds and, like I said, little creeks going around. And their home is right here. And basically the answer lies with Athena. She knows what happened. She could say, oh, we were left here, and then she walked out the door. Something like that. Hey, thank you, Melmore. Appreciate it. Who said, been a huge fan since your Jody Arias gunshot first theory video. Glad you're still here. Oh, cool. That's cool. Yeah, tonight's one of those, one of the slow ones. Yep. If you haven't seen the old Jody Arias videos, you should go check those out. And we know we did a case this last year, and it was pretty cool because on my mapping, I figured out, like, I drew where I thought he'd be, and that's where they found him later. But I think he was 2 or 3, and he walked 5 miles. I mean, is that ludicrous? Or what? I mean, that's pure insanity, right? Yeah, it says, Laura W. said, thank you for all you do. I look forward to these lives every night. Well, very cool. Thank you. I mean, are there how many out there just kind of, this is what you do on nights? Like you come over here and you hang out on the Grant Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, listening to various true crime stories and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I used to do that with like Art Bell, It's not as big a community, I'm sure, but that's pretty cool. I hadn't really even thought of it like that. But I know that the freaks are here all the time, so. See, there's freaks and then there's freaks, The ones that have been here night in and night out, even on the slow doldrums with 400 people, but we still do really well. What's amazing is it's like a night like tonight, we have 1,100 people watching, but we're not doing as well as we did when we have 300 or 400 people watching on a nightly basis. What do you think that is? Pretty strange. Hey, thank you very much, Brown-Eyed Girl. Da-da-da-da. Brown-Eyed, let's see. I know I didn't sing that great, but you know what I'm saying. I'm here for the dumpster talk. I don't know what that means. Now, what do you mean the latest update? Is it anything extra that what? What the hell just happened? According to search volunteers, the OSBI has moved the investigation into the disappearance of Athena Brownfield to Phase 3, a criminal investigation. OSBI has not confirmed the change. Stay tuned for more details. Well, that's not good. But that's what it was feeling like, that somebody at the house. I mean, why do you think everybody left? You know, did normal people do that? It almost feels, I want to know, here's what I'd really like to know, is when was the last time another adult human being saw Athena? And again, Athena is going to have the answers, right? And so would the 4 children, which might be even older, I would imagine, that one of them is probably older than 5, that belong to the couple that disappeared. They're going to know something. And that's going to lead to whatever happens in this case. Hey, thanks, Juju Bean. What do you guys think? And thanks, Yabba Dabba Doo! Right, Reggie! Yeah, I think that they just left and probably just weren't able, like, let's say something happened and one of the girls was killed and you knew it was your fault, or maybe it was even one of your 4 kids' fault, that we can't take that out of the equation. Maybe they whisked away the 4 kids so that they wouldn't, somebody wouldn't say something. I mean, that's what's sort of interesting here is there's a lot of options. You've got 4 kids and these 2 other unrelated parents that were sort of, I don't know if they were forced to take care of these 2 other kids. And one of them's still there. But why would you leave a witness there then, I guess, in a scenario like that? Why would you leave Athena there who would have information? Seems like you would have taken her with you, but then that would be maybe considered kidnapping at that point. And maybe the circumstances were such where you know that she didn't see anything, so felt like the best thing would be to leave her there in their criminal minds. I just said that. Stace on the case. You got to be more on the case, Stace. Although in your mind, you probably heard it after because you're 20 seconds behind. Let's see. Maybe they were dropped off like people do unwanted pets and find her way back. Maybe she hid from him? You mean hid? We know it's awful and horrendous, but we know how this ends. Yeah, maybe. It sounds like if that's true, that they've moved it into a criminal investigation, then it's not going to end up good. I mean, that's just when you're in that. And they must have interviewed Athena. And through interviewing her, they would have sort of a sense of what was going on, even if she didn't see something. And I think that's when they went, okay, there's something else going on here. Because everybody left. It's like they're hiding from what they did. Thank you, Snarky Cinderella, who said, I've been here every night since I found your channel. If I miss a show, I watch on replay. Love me some Gray and Freaks. You must like the snarkiness here, right? Okay, well, I don't really have much more to offer on this one at this point. I don't have the names of the people that were taking care of them, but I want to get to this next story. I do. I just told you what I think of it, Cindy. Yeah. It seems more likely that something happened, and that's why everybody left. And there's something bad happened, and that's why they left. And now they've been tracked down, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Somebody knows something. Any San Antonio in the area? I don't know what SA... What do you mean SA in the area? What does that even mean? Jesus. What a ridiculous comment. Hey, any San Antonio in the area? Let's see. Yeah. And even... Oh! You mean the other... How about this? Any sexual assault in the area? Does that even make sense also? Even if that... I knew what she was saying, by the way. But it didn't make sense normal in the actual sentence itself. Any sexual assault in the area? You mean sex offenders is what you meant, right? Whew, wow. Wish they released their names. Yeah, maybe they won't. Yep, so mean. Up, I just got called so mean, everybody. You know what that means. Oh boy. The jail cell isn't far away. I might throw you guys in jail, though. You guys are... Oh, yeah, twice now. So mean 2 different times. That's not good. Someone to do with one of... Huh? Why would an old foster parent go over and do something to her? That doesn't make any sense. They're staying with somebody else. I know. I guess I was mean when I challenged what that meant by saying any SA in the area. Oh my God. Billy Juliana just put me at a -5. We're struggling now. Now it's -2.
No bail, just bars.
What do you mean by does the conversation move any faster, Kim Richards? What does that mean? What does that even mean? I type a better sentence than... here's what I'd say to you is, do you type better sentences than that? Hey, wow, so we're still at 0. Darlene White said, been here every night for 3 years now, no rope. Yeah, me and Darlene always have these little battles, but I like Darlene anyways. Thanks. Paula Volter.
Been here every night for 3 years now, no rope.
Man, you guys are just hardcore tonight, man. I'm stuck in this sucker for a while. WNC Granny. That's bail money. I think we have enough to the guard currently. Soap on a rope from Vanessa Dance. Anybody figure out what she was talking about up there? Does the conversation ever move faster? What does that mean exactly? Man.
Bail dollar.
Just say money for jail. Thanks, Richard.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
That's mean. I think we should put Richard in prison here, man. That was... Where is that? How do I get him in there? Is that the one?
SA money for jail. Lol.
Lol.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want
There it is.
Bail.
Richard's in prison, you guys. Are you going to help get him out of there? That sucker still works, man. That's funny. Oh, yeah. No, now you're in prison. Oh, now not your average chick. I got to go back up and put Richard back in there. And thank you up there to Vanessa Dance and WNC Granny. I don't think anybody's helping get you out of there. I guess you're not in there anymore. I'll put you back. There you go. Got to get me back in there.
Seems like it's gonna be a while.
Garden Girl 9. Thank you. And Tosh. Richard is now free because of Tosh. There you go. Now Tosh is in prison. Man, that's not good. Just kidding. All right. Anyways, thank you guys for playing along there and doing the bail and helping support the channel at the same time. You know, but you guys putting me in prison for saying something correct. Whew, wow. Yeah. Well, you're free, Richard. You're free. Yep, you got it back. You got it back. Hey, thanks, Sosie. Which is, how do people do exact amounts? I don't know. Yeah, it's weird how some people, they're like the $4.99 situation. Not sure what that means. All right, do you guys remember the case that we covered a long time ago called, or not called, but of Susan Morrissey Ledyard? That was that crazy one. If you haven't heard of this one, I'll try to zip through it. But I saw John Lorden did an update, and I didn't hear about this update. So I was just kind of shocked when I saw it. Yeah, so Susan Morrissey Ledyard. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so this is from a while ago. This one's from July this year, but this is this crazy case. So I'm just going to read this article really quick and just listen to it. If you had told the Morrissey family in early July 2019 that Susan Morrissey Ledyard would be found dead in the Brandywine later that month, they would have thought it was a sick joke. That's the husband right there. If you have told them in the weeks after Ledyard's death, evidence would later show she was killed, they wouldn't have believed it. And if you had told the family in the fall of that year that the 50-year-old slaying would be unsolved on the 2-year anniversary of the killing, they wouldn't be able to survive that. Yet this is the reality of Ledyard's family is living. 2 years after her body was pulled from the water at about 7:45 a.m. on July 23, 2019, she was found near a bridge that carries Route 13 over the Brandywine. That's her right there. For 2 years now, it's been such a dark cloud of real true horror, Heineke said. We're still hopeful. This is in the DelawareOnline.com. Ledyard's family said they are desperate for someone to come forward with new information about how she died. They are offering $50,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest. Delaware Police Detective Daniel Grassi told Delaware Online, the news journal, that while police have not released new information about the case in about a year, it's nowhere near becoming cold. Detectives, he said, are still actively working on solving the homicide, and there are still plenty of things going on with the investigation. I mean, just wait till I show you guys this. It's absolutely wacky. When people hear cold case, they think of a room with boxes where Nothing's getting done, Grassy said. That's not what is happening here. I would classify this as unsolved. With so little information about who might have killed Ledyard, her family is now focusing on channeling their energy into positive causes. Let's see. Within hours of pulling 50-year-old from the water, police had identified her and contacted her husband, Ben. Heineke quickly called her sister, Missy Morrissey. I've actually communicated with her on Facebook. Morrissey was tutoring a student at her home when the phone rang. I said to my student, just forgive me for a minute, and I picked up the phone. Morrissey told Delaware Online. I don't remember Meg's exact words, but I remember her getting to the point very quickly and saying Susan died. I think she said that they found her drowned in the river. Morrissey let the student leave early. She then got in her car and drove to Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, to tell her parents. They were heartbroken, she said. The next few days were a blur for the Ledyard family. That's what it feels like. All right, so right down here. Susan Ledyard's death was ruled a homicide months after her body was found in the Brandywine River. Police said last year they don't believe Ledyard entered the water where her car was found. She and her husband lived on Riverview Avenue, about a mile from the Rising Sun Lane Bridge. So, let's see. This is where they lived, right here in this house, right here. And her car was parked right over here in a strange way. It was faced in, like it had just been parked really quickly. It wasn't faced out, if I remember correctly. And they thought she had just killed herself by jumping off this bridge here. But watch this. When you go downstream, how would a body, and the river was low, go through all of these rocks right here? Just look at these rocks. Absolutely filled with rocks. And you keep going around. How would it get through these rocks in the river? And then all the way down here again. And not only that, then there's another area there. And let me just get rid of that, whatever that was on the screen there. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's a little clearer now. There we go. So right there's rocks. Look at all those rocks. A body drifting down the stream. And then right through all of these rocks. And then all the way down through these rocks again. Then these rocks. And then her body's found right here. Or no, not found right here. That's the last bit of place where the rocks are. Guess what? Her husband at the time has been remarried since, and the woman that she married lived right here. I mean, it is. And guess what? This is where you would throw the body into the water, because it just drifted this distance down like this to this bridge, and this is where she was pulled out of the water. There's no impediments in the water to here, and this is where she pulled out of the water. And she had a Fitbit on that was still showing that she was alive at something like 7 in the morning. It's absolutely unbelievable. Okay, so this is where the husbands, I mean, to me, if they're not involved, I'd be shocked. I mean, that's how it just feels like it. So anyways, somebody. Let me get to that spot up here. Where was that? All right, so using surveillance cameras and Ledyard's cell phone records, detectives determined she was texting and calling friends. Now, I talked to Missy, and she was saying that she was actually talking to a friend in San Francisco or something about, they were just having fun on the phone. There was nothing weird about it. Her husband, however, went off to a movie, I think, or a concert. It was a Fish concert, so she didn't want to go, so that friend brought another friend with him, and apparently even came over to the house for a little bit of time and then left, but doesn't seem suspicious to the family or anything. It was not unusual for Ledyard to be up that late, so 2:45 in the morning. Police said previously there was nothing alarming or uncommon about Ledyard's text messages to her friends that night. Her last message to Morrissey at 12:29 a.m. was so forward-looking, Morrissey said last year. There was nothing out of the ordinary about it at all, she said. It really is like somebody got snatched off the face of the earth. At 3:02 a.m. that same night, Ledyard left her driveway. So they don't know if it was her leaving, but her car leaves, right? At 3:02 a.m., her car pulls out of that exact spot that I was showing you. I mean, if you look at this right here, I think you can go to Street View, right in this area. And the car pulls out of this driveway right here. And then it goes this way and takes a left down that road there. There was nothing out of the ordinary about it at all, she said. And then at 3:02, Ledyard left her driveway and drove to Walker's Mill Road, parking there just 2 minutes later. That's all the amount of time it takes. Detectives who watched surveillance footage from the area said they saw Ledyard's headlights turn off. So there's a camera showing it was there, but it was too dark to determine if anyone got into or out of the car. They know she was active until about 7 a.m. because of a Fitbit tracker she wore, Morrissey said. So she was likely in the water floating around with the Fitbit she was wearing, but she was still alive but knocked out. Grassi said detectives have contacted other law enforcement agencies, including federal agencies, to aid with the investigation. Pretty much anyone who will or can provide assistance we've reached out to, Heineke said. She's been encouraged by how much time detectives have spent chasing leads. Most people grieve and then slowly move on, but not knowing who or why or where or even how, really. It's like living this extra deep nightmare in death by 1,000 cuts. So if anybody out there has any information, call Detective Grassi at 302-365-8441. But here is the new information. Look at this crazy shit. So we were already like, oh yeah, he's pretty suspicious. Look at this. Husband of woman's 2019 murder remains unsolved, is arrested after attacking his current wife. Oh my God. This is exactly, I mean, it is crazy. And biting off her finger before telling her, I think I swallowed it. Can you believe this shit, you guys? I mean, we covered this a couple times here, but and it's not just the Daily Mail. You know, I think it's more like the tip of the finger, but the husband of a Delaware woman whose 2019 murder remains unsolved has been arrested on a slew of assault charges after allegedly attacking his current wife and biting off her finger. This is from the 4th. I don't know how this wasn't forwarded to me or anything a little earlier, but, you know, you never know. Let's see. The husband of a Delaware woman whose 2019 murder remains unsolved has been arrested on a slew of assault charges after allegedly attacking his current wife and biting off her finger. Benjamin Ledyard, 55, has been charged with second-degree assault, terroristic threatening, and menacing in the New Year's Day assault on Stephanie Ledyard, whom he married in 2021. So this is a woman he likely was already dating and seeing and knew. There's indications out there that they already knew each other prior to Susan Ledyard's death. Man, they better reopen this shit up, because when you see something like this is such unusual behavior that sort of points to something also very unusual happening to Susan Ledyard. Don't you guys agree? I mean, stuff like this, come on. Susan's body was discovered in July 2019. let me see. Delaware State Police say the Newcastle County assault case is separate from the homicide of Ledyard's previous wife, Susan Morrissey Ledyard, and has no bearing on our investigation. It should. It should have a bearing on it. Susan's body was discovered on July 23rd, 2019 in Brandywine River in Wilmington. So what it shows me is that either his wife or him have the potential to be doing these crazy, something really bad to Susan Ledyard. Ledyard, who has not been named a suspect in Susan's murder, was arrested on separate assault charges on Sunday and is being held on $77,000 cash bond at the Howard Young Correctional Institution. He is set to appear in court on January 25th. There he is. Oh yeah. And that's the new wife right there. See, Benjamin Ledyard, 55, faces assault charges in the attack on his current wife, Stephanie Ledyard, 54, more than 3 years after his previous wife, Susan Morrissey Ledyard, was murdered. So these are all on his Facebook page here. I've seen these. Ledyard was taken into custody on Sunday after Newcastle County Police were called to the couple's home on Camp David Road in the Tallyville neighborhood of Presidential Estates. The couple had gotten into an argument over loud music, and he allegedly chased her around the house, swinging a pool cue at her. Jeez. Stephanie Nixon Ledyard, 54, who had fled the house to call for help, was suffering from injuries allegedly caused by her husband. According to the arrest warrant obtained by WHYY, Stephanie told police that Ledyard had been drinking while playing pool when she asked him to turn down the loud music. The couple began arguing, and Ledyard told his wife, "Tonight, I'm going to definitely give you a good beating," before he picked up a cue stick and started swinging it at her. Stephanie told police that he chased her around the house with the cue stick and hit her with what she believed was a white square marble block with a black figurine on it. Jeez. Ledyard then pushed Stephanie to the ground, grabbed her hair, and repeatedly smashed her head into the hardwood floor, she stated. Officers wrote in... I bet you 90% of the people watching right now have never heard of this case. I think it's really interesting, and it's very... It's hard to figure out exactly what may have happened. You try to picture something happening at the house in a small window of time, and then she was driven out, or she was dumped somewhere else, and then the car was placed at the bridge, or somehow she was picked up at the bridge. It's hard to know, but the court documents also revealed that Ledyard was charged in a previous attack on Stephanie last summer, in which he allegedly bit off the tip of her pinky finger. Stephanie told authorities at the Wilmington Hospital emergency room at the time that she injured her finger in a door frame and that Ledyard was with her. But this week, she told police that Ledyard had bit the tip of her finger off and told her, "I think I swallowed it." Man, so I wonder if she might speak. She might know what really happened. But I wonder if she's involved, though. That's the thing. I mean, again, don't you think it's a little strange that, this is where her car was found, but her body was found right here in the water, and the only place that you could throw the body in the water to make sure it floated away wouldn't be here. It's right in this area, and she lived right here at the time. So that's why mapping is so important in cases. Is that related? I mean, my God, it just... might be. Sure as hell seems strange to me that Her body would have to be put in the water right in this area, or anywhere past here, I guess. And look who lives right there. Hey, thank you, Zach Thornhill. These guys are on one tonight. Much love to the freaks. These guys, who are those? Who are these guys? Ledyard's New Year's Day arrest comes more than 3 years after his previous wife Susan was found dead in the Brandywine River in Wilmington on July 23, 2019. Her car was found parked on Walker's Mill Road about 3 miles upriver. Susan's death was not determined to be homicide until months later. In September of 2019, Delaware State Police said they did not believe Susan committed suicide, and they were confident she did not enter the water where her car was found. Boom, right there. The state medical examiner's office determined Susan's cause of death to be blunt force trauma and drowning. So it's almost like somebody bashed her in the head really hard, threw her into the water while she was still alive, and she was dying, but her Fitbit showed she was still alive. But what's weird about the Fitbit is there's this one moment in time where it really speeds up. I think it wasn't it like 6:30 or something? It speeds up really fast, almost like she was being held somewhere. Then, before she was attacked, her heart rate sped up. Then she was bashed in the head, and then she was thrown in the river. And the Fitbit kept recording her being alive, and then she wasn't alive, and it stopped recording. Susan's sister, Meg Morrissey, told DailyMail.com Wednesday that they cannot comment on the recent arrest. Oh, that's probably why she didn't respond to my email. Oops. Susan was an English teacher in California. Right, and that's why she was talking to her friend that lived in California. Now let's see down here. Susan was active on her phone throughout the night, texting and calling friends until 2:45 a.m. Then just 17 minutes later, her car pulls out of the driveway, and approximately 2 minutes later, it is parked on Walker Mill Road. Based on the time elapsed, detectives believe the Honda drove directly from the house to the location where it was found. Detectives confirmed through data from a Fitbit worn by Susan she was alive until approximately 7 a.m. However, her whereabouts between 3 and 7 are unknown. Detectives also do not know what caused her to leave her home. But how do they know she left her home? I mean, did they actually see her get into the car? Are they really confident about that? It's wild. Because, I mean, just look at it from this point of view. So let's say it is her. She's at home right here, and then she gets in her car, and that really is just a 2-minute drive. If you go hit properties here, it's only 1 mile exactly. And she takes a right, parks her car here. And apparently the car is parked in a weird way. Here's what I think is possible. Well, I mean, if they know that she's the one that drove, then it makes theorizing harder. However, if it's just her car leaving, perhaps she's still at the house. The husband, this is just a theory, drives the car, parks it over here, then merely walks back. It's only a mile. I wonder if they ever checked surveillance camera footage. Walks back home, and then this is to throw people off that, yeah, she's over here, knowing that eventually we're going to put her into the water. And then from here, drives, let's just say he then drives her over maybe to this area over here, but she's still alive though. See, that's where the problem happens. I mean, is it her that's alive though? Or, I mean, She's got the Fitbit on, and it still shows her being alive at 7 a.m. So maybe she was hit in the head at home and barely alive, and then the husband was just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do here? Because now it seems like he has the potential to violently act out. That's why it's important. Biting people's fingers, chasing people around with, something's wrong with this guy. So he bashes her in her head. She's very, but then again, why later did her heart rate speed up? That makes it sound like an attack was happening, but prior, she wasn't nervous or something. Or it could have been, maybe she was passed out and woke up, saw the people there, and then something else happened again. What do you mean, nah, Gray? I think it was intentional. Who said it wasn't? What the hell kind of response is that, WNC Granny? Put a 1 if I said that her death was accidental here. Go ahead. Nah, Gray, I think it was intentional. What are you talking about? Who are you disagreeing with? I never said that. No, even in my theory, I didn't say what you said. I said it was intentionally that they hit her in the head. Man. Wow. Anyways, let me... unless I just completely misworded something. I don't remember doing that, though. But that wouldn't shock me a bit. In your theorizing. Yep, that's what I said. Whoa. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Where's the WNC Granny? I'm going to have to play this song for you.
They're coming to take me away.
Your perception deceives you.
There you go. Your perception deceives you. Did they say what injuries she had? Was she bad? Well, they just said it was blunt force trauma. That was like one of the songs that was on the radio, if you can believe that. It was so ridiculous. Yeah, we discussed the Fitbit many times. Yep. Yeah. I think it does determine... Well, I guess that's the thing is... don't you wear the watches where it actually is monitoring your heart rate and stuff? Because they were able to say her heart rate sped up. So it must have something else extra. I think the wristband itself probably goes around, and there must be contact that goes underneath your wrist that monitors your heart rate, I would imagine. To the funny farm where life is beautiful. Oh, wait, hold on.
Where life is beautiful all the time, and basket weavers sit and twiddle their thumbs and toes, and they're coming to take me away.
Oh my God, that was perfect, Mary Lou. You nailed it, Mary Lou.
Well, thanks, Gray. I've been practicing.
Oh, well, very good. Good for you, Mary Lou. Very happy. Let's just sing that all the time. Yeah. Basket weavers sit and twiddle their thumbs and toes, and they're coming. Yeah. Right. So that's what's weird about that Fitbit. It also, I think it monitors your movement by GPS too. So that wouldn't it be interesting to see what data they have on that? What did it just record in the water at that point? But law enforcement early on said that they do not believe she committed suicide. They definitely said, we don't believe she unalived herself, but for sure did not commit suicide because she jumped in the water right here. And, they're saying if she had jumped in the water right there and died, there's virtually no way that she could have made it down the stream through all of these obstacles. Look at this stuff. I mean, it is just, it's bewildering almost. I mean, how water even flows in here. Even if the water was a little higher, it just wouldn't work. I mean, this is, I mean, well, I guess if it was flooding, it would, but it wasn't flooding. So look at all these places where there's rocks everywhere. And then even down right here, another big chunk. Right in here, look at this, all the way through here. Shallow rocks, 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 rocks. All the way through. I mean, especially, look at this place. Nobody's getting through there, right? And then, right here, it stabilizes the stream. And this is where I think she was put in the water. And then she floats down the stream, and she's found right next to this bridge as she's floating down. But she was found at 7:30-ish, and she was still alive at 7. Isn't that wild? It almost feels like she was put in the water, and she was still alive and happened to be floating in a way where she could still breathe. And then eventually maybe she drowned by flipping over and inhaled water, something like that. But maybe at this point she's in the water. Nobody's seen her yet. She's just kind of floating down the stream. And eventually somebody saw her. She probably died back over in, like in this area or something. All right. Well, that's the update. I think that really, to me, something like that suggests even more so, dramatically more so, that the husband has something to do with the death of Susan. I mean, it really does to me. I'm not saying he did it, but it suggests a hell of a lot more when you have the ability to do I mean, biting someone part of their finger off, you know, or let's say it's made up by the wife. Then it just seems like there's a whole lot of something going on here, where then she has the ability to make crap up that maybe was used in the case to hide what really happened. I mean, we don't know, but it's pretty interesting. All right, you guys, we're not even at a mug of any kind tonight, so if you'd like to help support the channel, you can become a channel member, super chats, PayPal, anything you want to do to help support the channel, because we got stuff to do. I think tomorrow, well, let's see, maybe tomorrow night we'll do another donation somewhere, because I'm having a guest come on tomorrow in the Idaho 4 case. Should be good. Yeah, we covered this a long time ago. A couple different times, actually. And it's really, you know, it's not one of the ones that everybody's heard about, but why not, though, right? Why isn't this one that a lot of people talk about and know about? It's very interesting. It's got every element that you could imagine in it. The husband who secretly is seeing somebody else and marries her, and a woman, her death was made to look like a suicide, but there's no possible way her body could have gone down the stream from where the car was parked. And then the husband later on ends up biting part of the finger off of one of the individuals. I mean, of the woman that he married. I don't know. It's just got all the little parts. The Fitbit. I don't know, they might have. But maybe we'll make this a shorter night here. I got material to cover, but if we get into that next hour, it'll just be dredging on. Does this mean there won't be any updates? What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Any updates on what? What are you talking about? I just gave you the updates. Lorena Bobbitt. What do you mean still in jail? Yeah, right here. Well, no, I don't know if they're going to have any updates. This just happened 8 days ago. I'm sure it's related to it. They said that. I guarantee it makes them open their eyes more. They're just saying it's not related. The two incidents, they're not, right? The two incidents aren't related. But what is related is you look at somebody like that and you know at that point he's going to have, you know, it makes him way more likely to have done something. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Brianna25. Man, been a tough crowd in here tonight. I think I swallowed it. Yeah, you think, you believe that one? Thanks, George Leonard. To hear Chewbacca story as well. Haven't you already heard the Chewbacca story? Do we know if her Fitbit was waterproof or water resistant? I don't know. It was still working. That's all that really matters. That part doesn't matter. You know, it was still showing that she was alive at 7, but she was found dead in the water at 7:30 something. By somebody up on that bridge looking down. Well, somebody does the super chat, we'll tell the Chewbacca one. That's got to be the question. What's the Chewbacca story? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The husband... Oh, yeah, that was one of the elements. The husband said that he gave her a sleeping pill. Her and him both sleeping pills that night. That's why he slept really late in the morning. So he didn't even realize she wasn't even home. But the talk screen didn't show that she had any sleeping medicine in her system. Remember that? That was something I'd forgotten about. We did an update on Lori Daybell the other day. Great. Come on, Tosh. You don't always... I mean, I appreciate your help. It seems like other people could help out. You know, this is a monetized true crime channel making a difference out there. It's not too hard. I've been watching your videos. I come across your channel a few weeks ago. I just wanted to say I love your... Hey, thanks. Buck Nutty. So what took you so long to find my channel? I've been doing live show. Well, you know what it is? I don't make it into the algorithm at all, right? Like when I'm doing those live shows and I'm doing cold cases for years and years, it's just, you know, if you're a member and you hit the subscribe button and a notification bell, you just might get notified. But when you're covering a popular case, it just pops up in everybody's feed that's covering that case, right? And so, hey, thank you, Gummo and Buck Nutty and Tosh and Kathy Shiflett. I think I'm saying it right. All right, so the Chewbacca story is Cairo was... Well, there's a guy on, you know, I consider him a good friend of mine on YouTube. You know, not even just YouTube. He's been over to my house a few times, traveling. He travels around the country, fixing or, you know, updating and servicing cell towers. So he you know, he's come. I think he's been to my house 2 or 3 times, for sure. And I always have to make him some kind of vegetarian hamburgers. But yeah, he was driving around the country, and he stopped at this hotel, and this when he was going out to smoke a cigarette, and as he's opening the door to smoke the cigarette, this lady's sitting on the ground, and he's just about to light it. Yeah, I think he's even got the cigarette in his mouth, just based on what he sounds like. Yeah, thanks, Amethyst Eyes and Joshua. He opens the door, and this lady sitting on the ground goes, however she did it. And then Cairo, who, by the way, has never seen Star Wars, but knew what Chewbacca sounded like, turned to the woman and said, "Chewbacca?" And then she, being a woman, a sex worker, I was going to say a woman of the night, but sex worker is the term. She replied, "I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to be." Oh, look at that. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Can I get this turned on? There. Maybe that'll catch that one. So, do I have the sound effect in here? I don't even know if I have it set up on my... on here. Where is it? I guess we'll have to have somebody play it. I don't actually... let me see if I can find it. I think I know where it is. Yeah, I think it's in here, and the... No. Oh, there's soundboard, audio. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Okay, now here it is. So this is the door opening. You can hear it, right? Listen. There it is, opening the door. See, that's actually a human being that made that sound. Can you guys believe that? I mean, a human being, actually. This lady sitting on the curb outside the door made that sound, okay? Listen to it again.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Is that awesome or what? I mean, that is so perfect. As soon as I heard it, I go, "Oh my god! Oh god! I gotta get the audio for that." Let me add this really quick so I don't have to keep. Where the hell is that? Page 3. I'm gonna do a really quick add it to my soundboard thing here. Where is it? There it is. Play audio. Okay. Now I know where it's located. OBS Studio. And it was under soundboard. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hey, hey, And there is Chewy. And let me get a better photo. Hey, thanks, Gullenburn. Hey, appreciate it. Selects from a file, and there's Chewy. Okay, good. Now I've got everything set up. This is what it looks like, the thing that I set up. See that? Now I've got Chewy on there. There it is.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Thanks for all you do, Gray.
Well, thank you. All right, so let me test it out on this the soundboard here. So just picture it all in your head again, okay? He's going out to smoke the cigarette, opens that little hotel door. There's this sex worker sitting on a curb, And she makes that sound, and then he says, wow, is, you know, like, Chewbacca? And then, you know, so here, listen to it again.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Hey, how many guys are in the chat? Listen, how many of you have fantasized about a woman looking like Chewbacca? Okay? It's not really that common, I can tell you that right now. Yeah, so it's... I don't know why the lady would say, I'll be one if you want me to be. Who the hell would want you to be one? Yeah, God, let's cosplay. Why don't you be Chewbacca? And I'll be Darth Vader, you know what I'm saying? Oh, God. Let's see. Yeah. Darth Vader. Oh, I don't want. I just told the lizard eyes story. Are there people out here that don't know the lizard eyes story? You know, if you haven't heard why we have the lizard eye thing. Let's see, how many? Anybody? There's actually reasons for all of the emojis that we use in here. Okay, so it looks like there's a lot of people that haven't heard the lizard eye story. All right, and you know this is true because I tell it the same every single time, right? Yeah, so I was at a bar not too far away from here. You know, I had a couple drinks, whatever. And there was a bartender there that was really pretty, and I thought she, you know, thought she was pretty. So, you know, I got her to sit down at my table. And I was talking to her, and I thought, wow, she has such pretty eyes. They look really exotic, you know. And I looked at her and I said, man, your eyes look just like a lizard. And, yeah. I mean, it's always funny to me because it didn't work out well. She got up and left. But don't you think like that was, you know, like if you was you, wouldn't you know that it was a compliment? Thanks, SV Kathy. So I guess it's the...
Wow. Just wow.
Wow. Just wow. I think what it is when you're not really that smooth, you might say something like that. Yeah, well, she just walked away. I mean, she just... Yeah, well, that was fun. Why wouldn't you say, what do you mean lizard eye? I would have said, oh, you know, kind of exotic. Oh, I see. I guess there's no recovering after that, right? Well, your eyes look like a squid. Yeah. Well, they were exotic looking. I don't know if you would call them lizard, but... Yeah, that's why I brought that up yesterday, David Hughes, my half brother. I said that's the same thing as the Brian Koberger saying, you have birthing hips. I mean, is that really a pickup line? Let me ask you something. If you were a woman out there and somebody said, I just want to tell you one thing. We've had a great night. But you have some of the best birthing hips I've ever seen. Would you go, wow, that is so nice of you, right? I mean, seriously, is that what? Would that even be something that would pop out of your mouth? I think you'd want to get the hell out of there as fast as possible, right? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. See you later. Birthing hips. What the hell does that even mean? Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of creepy, isn't it? It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really attracted to you at all. You know, the night wasn't that great, but let me tell you one thing. You've got some fantastic birthing hips. Hoping that comment would turn the night around. Yeah, it didn't work for you. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah. I do have the. I don't have an emoji for my rip. Let's see. Shit Van Winkle. That's what it was. That was the time when I was in a bar, and I think I had a little too much to drink one time, but I did chew. I put a chew in, and it made me get really dizzy. You know. So this was about 11 o'clock at night, and I went into the bathroom and I sat on the toilet in there, just with my hand, with my, you know, like this kind of, you know, with my knees on my legs. And then I went, whoa! I woke up like that. I walk out the door, and the chairs are already on top of the table, and they're vacuuming the floors. And they're like, where'd you come from? Because they had already closed the entire bar down at that point. Well, I always just wondered, why didn't anybody notice that I was sleeping in there, whatever it was? I mean, that part's a little odd, isn't it? That was like 20 years ago. Just, you know, giving you some reference there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I just kind of fell asleep because I wasn't really, like, drunk. It was just sort of this combination thing, maybe kind of dizzy. Yeah. So, there you go, everybody. You learned some of the background. 8 years, I think, now. Well, actually, 8 years in July. What do you mean, more don't leave gray? What's that mean? Oh, I was going to get on to the... I have an article. My brother sent me something he read on the... Brian, you know, the Kohlberger case. So I thought we could go over that article just to see what's in it and maybe go over some of the, you know, possibilities, you know, in case the Johnson is the Washington Johnson. I mean, I can't imagine them allowing something like that in an article, in a document, without double checking it 5-10 times. So we'll see. But apparently people are reporting that the Johnson, Idaho should have been Johnson, Washington. And Johnson, Washington makes sense because it's right here. You know, if you look at that, that's like on the way back, and then maybe he was hanging out in this area. But there is a cell tower right here. I mean, you can see the shadow of it. I mean, look at this thing. I can almost tell you what type it is. Sort of looks like one that's 90 degrees on each of the elements there. Although, let's see, we can see it better. No, it's 120. See how it's a triangle shape here? So that means that it can, if a car is driving over here, it could detect it. Off to the, I don't know if you guys are aware, but this might be a good time to show you this. Can you see how that's a triangle right there? And I think I'm looking at it correctly. It's hard to tell exactly, but see how that's a triangle? If a car was right here, a person with a phone was right there, this sector of the tower would pick up the phone, not this one over here or this one. It would be this one. So that's how you can tell that a car is in a specific direction. Now, if the car was driving over here, or standing here, let's say with the phone, this one, this side right here would pick up that ping, right? And then if somebody was maybe walking around over here, this side over here would. And so that's why when they say triangulate, what you can do is just as a... Let me see if I can set this up really fast using my... This... let's see, middle monitor, right. Window projector, boom. Oh, that's the wrong one. Wait, where am I? God, what the hell? Oh, there we go. Let's put this back over here. Right there. So I have that. Let me see if I can get this to work. Oh, look at that. Oops. So if I zoom in right there, and I'll just invent something by drawing the line, so it'll be like, let's say it went like that, and like that. That's not good. And then this one went over here like that, and that one went like that, right? And then if there was another tower, or that, oh, I guess that's not very good, but there could be another tower right over here, let's say, and that one looked like this. Let's say it was, the tower was here, and then it went like this, and like this, and maybe it's one of the 90-degree ones, and, you know, I mean, this isn't very good. There's none of them have 5, okay, so just screw that part. Let's say this tower picked it up in this quadrant, and this tower picked it up in this quadrant. That means it's inside of, right inside of there, right? So that's a way to look at it. I don't know if that's working for you at all, but that's how it would work. Because it's inside of this pi wedge and this pi wedge. Now having a third one, a third tower, really can isolate where something is. Especially if it's pointing at a side of the track. Then you, and it was in that, then you know, oh wow, so it was here in the location, but also in these.
How about you 500 plus viewers who haven't done so yet? Smash that like button.
Yes, everybody, hit that like button, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's so easy to hit the like button. We're only at 500. My God, people. Do we have to pause the show with the... Hey, yes, everybody. It's one of the easiest ways you can help support a channel. What you do is you take your finger and you press the button. If you don't have a finger, use your nose. If you're unfortunate and don't have a nose, well, you can always... I don't know. Just find a way, man. You can do it. I know it. I know you can do it.
I'm fired out of it, 10 down, 15.
Hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Hit that like button, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Hit that like button, 5, 10, 15, 20.
30, now 5, I'm 35.
Thanks, Gollin Vern. You know, it's weird, even after you say that, people just go, forget it. Don't tell me what to do, Gray. As if I could see that they're not the one that did it. Does that make a little bit more sense there with the, how they triangulate? You know, you've got the different pi wedges coming off of different towers, and if it pings off the same tower at the same time, sometimes it does that. But also within a minute or so, like if it's driving, they can tell you, okay, it's right over here, 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 ding, 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 ding. I think it works the same with the, even more so with Wi-Fi, they can do that. Well, there you go, WNC Granny. You should have said, nah, Gray. They use cell towers to triangulate. And then I would said, yeah, I said that. and then you'd say, I thought you just said that it wasn't. Hit the like button, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. I think we're at 700 now, right? No, not at 700. Only at 645. What a bunch of losers. God. I'm not talking about the ones that hit it. It's the ones that wouldn't hit it. Okay. No gray. Auctioneer gray is one of my favorites. Oh, is it? Oh, good. 10, 20, 25, 30. Do I hear 5, 10, 20, 25? I actually spent like hours one time listening to that very auctioneer because he's so good. He's like regarded as the best there is. All right, here we go. Let's go over that article. Here we go. Where is it? I don't. There it is. Okay, it's by Slate Magazine. So whatever that means. You guys ready? You're still out there, Mike D? I always go, I gotta get to the factual stuff. I mean, I don't know if Mike D likes the other stuff. You know, like there must be people out there that just want the... I think he just likes hanging out with the freaks too, so... Thank you, Miranda Weeperville. Huh? I'm sure what that even means. Alright, here we go. So this is just an article. Let's read it and then let's discuss if it's correct or not. Yeah, Mike D, he's the one that called in, taught us all about the locks. We didn't know what the hell was going on. Around 4 a.m. on November 13th, a masked man broke into a house. Now they're saying masked, but they did say masked, but remember the article I read? It was something pulled up over, like maybe his, a turtleneck pulled up over his chin or mouth. Around 4 a.m. on November 13th, a masked man broke into a house about a mile from the University of Idaho campus and stabbed 4 students. Then he walked past a stunned surviving roommate and left. By the time police arrived, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, 2 21-year-old best friends, and Ethan Chapin and Zaina Kernodle, 2 20-year-olds who were dating, were dead. Early on in the investigation, the Moscow Police Department became interested in a white Hyundai Elantra that surveillance footage had captured near the house that morning. Police compiled lists of white Hyundai Elantras spanning from 2011 to 2016 that were registered at local universities and instructed officers to search for still more of them. An affidavit released last week revealed that on November 29th, just 2 weeks after the crime, these techniques succeeded in identifying a 2015 Elantra registered to Brian Koberger, a 28-year-old criminology student at nearby Washington State University. And yet it would be another month before police arrested Koberger and charged him with the murders. All the while, investigators would keep pleading for more tips about Elantras. That's because it was not Koberger's Elantra that had elevated him to a priority person of interest. Rather, according to a law enforcement source familiar with the investigation with whom I spoke, a key reason police focused on Koberger as a likely suspect has to do with something that is never mentioned in the 18-page affidavit: forensic genealogy. It was only after... But see, it's weird because we were talking to Colleen. It seems like there was enough information that led to him anyways. So why would they... Okay. They might have ran it in concert and it made sense. It was only after investigators utilized a technique reliant on genealogy databases to determine who'd left DNA on a tan leather knife sheath that police requested a search warrant for Kohberger's phone records, according to this source. Up until that point, in late December, he hadn't stood out among all the other Elantra owners. Yeah, well, that's, that actually kind of makes some sense. See, we have the hindsight part of it. What would make them think, oh, it's him? Other than all the other Elantra owners, right? And then maybe they look at the DNA and it leads back to, oh, his family lives in Pennsylvania, boom, 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 and then all the pieces start coming together. What happened? Did somebody subscribe, or what was that sound effect? Did somebody just send in a... It's weird. I don't know what just happened. I mean, are you guys paying attention to this? Because it's kind of interesting if it's true. Up until that point, in late December, he hadn't stood out among all the other Elantra owners, the source said. Something that is reinforced by a close, informed reading of the affidavit. Oh, well, they came up with his name, yes. Early, like in late November. But it seems like, I don't remember exactly what we were saying on that at the time. The precise way forensic genealogy helped investigators zero in on Kohberger hasn't been previously reported. This is one of the most high-profile cases in which this relatively new, ethically contentious method has been... I don't think it should be ethically or morally or any way contentious whatsoever. It's paranoid people who really freak out about it. They're ones that probably commit crimes themselves. Ethically contentious method has been used so soon after a crime has been committed. See that? But remember how weird it was? Because at the beginning of the case, I said, man, why don't they have rapid forensic genetic genealogy? And then it turned out that it sounded like it didn't happen. And then you see this article, and maybe it means that it did happen, but it sort of sounds similar. Hey, thanks, Eugenie. To what they were saying before. About, sources say and all this stuff. So maybe it's because it was a little bit contentious out there, and it was used so quickly that they didn't really disclose that, but because the other information also pointed to him as well. But the precise way forensic genealogy helped investigators zero in on Kohberger hasn't been previously reported. This is one of the most high-profile cases in which this relatively new, ethically contentious method has been used so soon after a crime has been committed, and it will likely influence how law enforcement approaches it going forward. Though multiple news outlets, including CNN and ABC News, reported that forensic genealogy helped with the case, none has explained how it was used or why it did not appear in the affidavit. That how and why matters. For one thing, it shows that a method known mostly for solving cold cases can aptly to ones that are still hot. That may increase demand for an emerging field that was already experiencing a boom. The use of forensic genealogy also underlines that the current storyline about how police identified their suspect, which some are suggesting is a model, is missing pivotal details. According to numerous genetic genealogists, the case embodies an emerging trend of leaving out any mention of forensic genealogy from court documents and press conferences. The Idaho affidavit. See, here's the thing: is genealogy is just apparently is always deemed a lead generator. And then you get the lead, then you compare the suspect DNA to the DNA of the lead, of the person that you got in the lead, and then there's a match. And then I guess at that point, if you can find other ways that led you to the house, I don't know, man. It seems like you still need to mention FGG if it was used, because it's one of the greatest leads you can ever imagine. It's not like it's just some random name plucked out of a hat or something. It's literally, here is the killer whose DNA was left on the button. The Idaho affidavit, thoughtful omission of any reference to a genealogy, as forensic DNA analyst Tiffany Roy put it, was reignited a heated debate among investigative genealogists, lawyers, detectives, and other forensic experts about the wisdom of this strategy. The people involved in Kohberger's arrest won't be weighing in anytime soon. On January 3rd, shortly after Moscow police announced the arrest, a judge in Idaho issued a gag order prohibiting anyone involved in the case from speaking about it, in order to encourage a fair trial. This order also applies to Kohberger's defense team, which did not respond to a request for comment. Kohberger is expected to appear in court again on Thursday. Hyundai Elantras are among the best-selling compact cars in America. White is almost the most common car colors. Is among the most common car colors. As so, it's not surprising that within 24 hours of requesting tips about white Elantras, on its Facebook page on December 7th, the Moscow Police Department had received so many that it had to devise a new system for accepting them. By December 27th, the agency had a list of 22,000 white Elantras. See, that's the part that's interesting, is that they were still looking for white Elantras even after they had Kohberger's name on the 29th, I think it was. So that means so this article is being a little bit, it sounds truthful. It's not like they had his name back then and led to him. Basically, it's similar to the Richard Allen in the Delphi case, where somebody had contact with a name that eventually ends up being the person arrested. So when they go back in time, they say, oh, look, these two local Pullman, Washington, police officer and one of the campus police officers both located the same vehicle. But that didn't mean anything to anybody at the time until an arrest was made. Then they go back and look through those. Probably they even look through it once let's say genealogy did take place. Once that took place and it led to Brian Kohberger, then they go back and look through all the records and stuff, and they were able to find a couple references to him. Kohberger? What are you talking about? What is that? What's Kohberger? All right, guys. We got it. We're not even at a mug level tonight. I know I always hate doing this part of the show, but that's what we got to do now to keep doing what we're doing. I'd like to get to $60,000 this year out of the income from the channel to various charities. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But this night's been one of those just lull after lull after lull after lull. Did I say co-burglar? Maybe I did. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so what Tosh just put in there is if you were here last year, we, from the income from the channel, I sent in $8,000 to be used by Identifiers International in the identification of a 1961 John Doe out of Bibb County, Alabama. And it worked. I mean, this guy had no identity. The town had taken care of him in this grave for 60 years. And, he was identified by Misty Gillis, who was on the show the other day. And she even talked to the brother. He's still alive, and they'd all left an abusive father. There's still a brother that's missing from the same time period. But we gave his name back, Danny Armentrout. And the way that happens is, on a nightly basis, the freaks, the people watching, take care of the channel, and that's how you do it. The one thing I hate, though, is having to bring it up all the time. It just seems like, if everybody pretended that I was a Starbucks. When you go to Starbucks, you tip the person $2, $4 or $5, whatever. But I do 3-hour shows. So it's a lot more work than the guy at Starbucks. I literally put all this stuff together. Seems like that makes sense, but for some reason it doesn't. But anyways, thank you, Christy Quasi. This may be a dumb question, but why would they have just taken DNA from Brian instead of waiting? Because they needed to make the connection to make the arrest. They might not have... I don't know at that point if they had the... Well, I don't know. They were following him around. But... they just needed to get that information. Why are people saying I'm in jail? That was hours ago. Well, thanks, Gilmo. Yeah. And we have 5 more, but apparently there's some, we're just, I think we're looking at better places to put the DNA, different labs and so forth. But I'm glad my pitch works so well there. Let's see. One of the ways investigators whittled down the vehicle owner was by looking for associated mobile phones that pinged cell towers near the crime scene around the time of the murder. Koberger failed to stand out in that way, according to the affidavit, right, because he turned off his phone. A query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 and 5 a.m. Brett Payne, that's the individual that I sent an email to, Moscow Police Department lead investigator, wrote referring to Koberger's phone. What this likely meant was that there was no immediate reason to prioritize Koberger over other Elantra owners. On December 23rd, I bet you the person who thought that maybe he headed to Pullman, that person knew what the hell they were talking about. Hey, thank you so much, Jamie, and not your average chick.
Hi, Greg.
That's for
Beating
sure.
heart.
I bet you've got lizard eyes. but when I say it, it's a compliment, right? Thanks, Jamie. And not your average chick. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that makes sense, though, doesn't it? Thanks, Darcy M. Chewbacca!
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
Ocean wave, ocean wave, ocean wave.
One of the ways investigators whittle down... Wait, is it still going? I thought that one just did that one. Oh, here it is. I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to be. One of the ways investigators whittled down the vehicle's owner was by looking for associated mobile phones that pinged cell towers near the crime scene. So his didn't, obviously, because he turned it off. What this likely meant was that there was no immediate reason to prioritize Kohberger over other Elantra owners. On December 23rd, 3 weeks after Kohberger's Elantra first made the list, Payne applied for a search warrant for records of Kohberger's phone activity between November 12th and 14th. The results helped convince Payne that Kohberger was the Elantra owner he was looking for after all. Yeah, but see, that doesn't imply genealogy there. No, but it was on December 23rd, 3 weeks after Kohberger launched. So what made him apply for a search warrant on the 23rd? That's interesting. Hey, thank you so much, Jeff. And Missing Person Cases Network. You must have a Facebook page, right? We also have one, GHI The Missing Network, on Facebook.
Thumbs up, everyone. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Ah, yeah. Cool. So that's interesting, right? Because it says on December 23rd, 3 weeks after Kohberger's Elantra first made the list, Payne applied for a search warrant for records of Kohberger's phone activity. So what led him to ask for that? Just randomly out of the list? Because his phone didn't ping in the area, so what made him ask for that, you might ask? I haven't read this article yet. I wonder if he's going to come up with something similar. The route of travel of Kohberger's phone during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. This is on, I think this is on the warrant, or the affidavit. And lack of Kohberger's phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 and 4:48 is consistent with Kohberger's attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide. So the question is, what shortly... there you go. See, here he is. Exactly right. I mean... So the question is, what happened shortly before Christmas that refocused Payne's attention on this particular Elantra owner? The answer, according to the source familiar with the investigation, is partly that the officer got back the results from a forensic genealogy team. God, that's exact. You know what's funny is if that's true, that is exactly what I suggested at the very beginning, is have a group of genealogists try to figure this thing out quickly in these types of cases. I guess this sort of reopens the possibility of this. Let's see. So, as court documents state, during his exploration of the house, Payne found a leather knife sheath stamped with Marine Corps eagle containing a single source of male DNA on its button snap. Had their suspect been arrested for or convicted of a felony in one of the states that are aggressive about collecting DNA, officials might have found him by searching a criminal, it's called CODIS, criminal database. But Kohberger's most notable previous interaction with police occurred this past fall when he applied for an internship to work for the Pullman Police Department. And so in the end, investigators would turn to an alternative way of identifying DNA, which rose to prominence following the 2018 arrest of Joseph James D'Angelo, a former police officer, in what widely referred to as the Golden State Killer case. After decades of dead ends, investigators helped triangulate the identity of the mystery man who terrorized California in the 70s and 80s, committing at least 13 murders and many more rapes, but using partial genetic matches to relatives in genealogy databases and the building of an enormous family tree. Why? Just why? Welcome, Jamie. Since then, law enforcement agencies across the country have used the technique to identify suspects and victims in hundreds of cases. Most of these cases went cold decades ago until Grant Hughes investigates. I'm just kidding. But regardless, they identify. Wouldn't it be cool just to be reading one of these and somebody brings up Danny Armentrout? Never happens though. But regardless of how long a lab has been storing the DNA, a first step involves processing the DNA in a way that enables an upload to a genealogy database. This is not something police labs can do because genealogists rely on different, essentially far more informative type of DNA analysis, said Samantha Blatt, a biological anthropologist at Idaho State University who has worked on forensic genealogy cases in Idaho. Idaho State Police has a contract with Othram, well there you go, a forensic genealogy company, to conduct genealogy testing. According to a July 2020 memo, Othram and Idaho State Police Forensic Services declined to comment. Well, that's interesting because Othram has been making comments on their page implying that they had something to do with identifying this person. They've been making comments on Facebook. Once the DNA profile is ready, it gets uploaded to GEDmatch. I'll just explain it myself. It's much easier. So, like all of you out there, there's 23andMe and Ancestry DNA, etc., etc. And you order the kit in the mail and you spit into this little container, and then you send it off and they process your DNA and they tell you who all your relatives are that are in the system and everything. And then you on your own can download a raw file that has your raw data in it. And once you download the raw file, you can upload it to a place called GEDmatch, right? And on GEDmatch, you put it on there and you have to select for law enforcement use. Hey, thank you so much, Lisa Wilkerson. And thanks for all your support all the time. You've been around here for a long time. Really appreciate it. So you guys with me so far? Pretty simple stuff right there. You download your raw data from 23andMe or Ancestry, and then you upload it to GEDmatch. And then there's another one called Family Tree DNA. It does the same thing. You upload your raw data on their site, and then what happens is after that, after GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA process your raw data, within a day or so, it comes back with these matches based on centimorgan count, which is sort of like a layman's way of saying how much of your DNA matches somebody else.
And Freak family, thanks for all the great work you do for us.
Well, thank you so much. So that's sort of the layman's way of saying it. But now you might, and then you do research on your top matches. So you get these matches. Let's say it's 300 centimorgans. That might be a first cousin or something like that. So you start building out the tree, and then you go to your next best match. Then you go to your next best match, and you just keep building out the tree until you find somebody on either side of the family where it brings everything back together, and you identify your unknown person. But in your case, if you're on GEDmatch, you already know who you are. You're just trying to find the names of relatives. So what happens in a criminal case is if you have an unknown sample, there's no tube to spit into, right? So the bridge to making this work, to put an unknown sample of DNA into GEDmatch so that you can put the tree together to find an unknown person, is a software program called bioinformatics. And guess what bioinformatics does? it mimics the raw data file that you download from Ancestry or 23andMe. It takes a DNA sequence, puts it into a file, and formats it exactly like the raw data files you download from 23andMe and Ancestry, and puts it into GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA, and now there's this unknown person with its centimorgan matches. See? So I hope I explained that in a way where it's like, oh, shit, how come other people don't say it like that? And the reason is because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just hear it, oh, it's, you know, you take the guy and then... And the reason I know is because we've had Colleen Fitzpatrick on a bunch, and I was also one of the people that solved one of the big cases, the Schnee Oberholzer. You know, she, before all of that, she was teaching me how to do it. I mean, she literally, we pretended I was unknown, and then we looked at the centimorgan matches, and then I would go and try to build the tree where it leads back to me again. So it was pretty cool. I didn't keep going on it. I just, you know, I knew how it works. So there's about 5 or 6, 7, 8 programs that you use to build it. You use Ancestry website to build out these trees, stores them all. You put it all together, they get really big. And so it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, real high level stuff there, Elser. Notice how I didn't say that? Yeah, because you guys all understand it all. And maybe that's because you're all high level thinkers. I don't need to say it. "24 in me? Come on." Alright. So anyways, it says right here, once the DNA profile is ready, it gets uploaded to GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA. They've got that. If not both, if not both. So they do use both a lot of the time because they have different people on them and everything. These are 2 primary genealogy sites that permit some types of law enforcement searches. So Ancestry and... Hold on a second.
Love you. FYI, I was a 911 operator. We had a hash system for emergency medical called EMD. We had to categorize. First question, asked, is person conscious? If no, we dispatch first, then ask more questions.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what was going on in that case. I don't know. There's so many different stories going on. Some people say that one of them was one of the roommates that lived passed out. It just gets nuts. But yeah, so 23andMe and Ancestry, they do not allow law enforcement use. If they did, cases would get solved in 10 seconds. I mean, it would be just ridiculous. But they don't do it. And, you know, you sort of understand why. It's a business. You want people to feel completely safe with their DNA going to you. So it's up to you to download your raw data and upload it to a... Well, here's the thing. Family Tree DNA automatically has it used for law enforcement use. GEDmatch, the one that seemed to be used more originally, you have to actually, once you upload your raw data, you have to select a button, press a button that says for law enforcement use. And they didn't used to have that. It used to be just like Family Tree, except they violated a rule of theirs where they helped out on a violent assault case. It wasn't sexual assault, and it wasn't a murder, and it didn't fit their guidelines. So what they did was they removed every single person that they had at GEDmatch from law enforcement use, and then you had to physically go on there yourself and re-up for law enforcement use. And then every other person that was new had to also do that. So it went from 1 million people on there way down to like 10,000. And then over a year, now it's over 1.5, maybe 2 million on GEDmatch. So that's pretty good. But I tell you what, like I said before, let's get everybody that's in prison who's already on CODIS, get them a kit that you upload to GEDmatch, 2, every single one of them. That way we'd have millions more people with a much more diverse population of people on there. No, it doesn't, DA. We're going to have to block you from the channel. Goodbye. Don't have any time for it. Once the DNA profile is ready, it gets uploaded to GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA, if not both. These are two primary genealogy sites that permit some type of law enforcement searches. The FBI played a role in the forensic genealogy work in the Idaho case, according to the source familiar with the investigation, something several genealogists confirmed would be likely to happen in such a high-profile investigation. The FBI declined to comment, and Anthony Dollinger, spokesperson for Moscow Police Department, wrote, "Due to the gag order issued by our judge, I am not allowed to discuss the case in any form." Regardless of who is conducting the investigation, genealogists look for partial matches, hoping to find relatives within the third cousin range. That's tough at that level, but at least you want that or better. Then they begin the process of building an enormous family tree, sometimes they're not that big, using a vast array of public records and more traditional detective work to create a short list of people within that tree who could plausibly be the suspect. The fact that Kohberger lived 10 miles from the crime scene would have helped him stand out, so too would the fact that he owned a white Elantra. Still, even after pulling the phone records, the team had no way to be certain Kohberger's DNA would match the knife sheath DNA. A genetic genealogy lead is just a hypothesis, after all. A final step typically involves conducting surveillance. Yeah, see, I just said this a little bit ago. Conducting surveillance on the suspect and then collecting something they've discarded, such as cigarette butt or soda can. Extracting DNA from it and comparing it with the crime scene DNA. On December 27th, agents collected trash from outside the Pennsylvania home where Kohberger was visiting. See, given the fact that they tested that trash, it does seem like they had just recently come upon him and were just following him. Because why not just go back, get a warrant, and go to his apartment or something? I don't know, man. According to the affidavit, the Idaho State Lab reported that there was an extremely high probability it contained DNA belonging to the suspect's father. On December 30th, agents arrested Kohberger. So that gave them the probable cause to make the arrest. Soon after Kohberger appeared in front of a judge in Idaho, the court released the affidavit. Some suggested that the absence of any reference to forensic genealogy meant that it had not been utilized after all. That's what I thought. But there is another explanation. Forensic genealogy leaders at the FBI and beyond have directed police departments to omit all references to the technique. Numerous people involved in these investigations told me. The only reason it would show up in a probable cause document or search warrant these days is if a police department rejected their guidance. As to whether keeping it out of court documents is a problem, two primary camps have emerged over the past few days. The first camp, leaving it out is offensive. The technique relies on members of the public who've chosen to opt into genealogy databases to allow law enforcement to use their DNA profiles to help identify their relatives. Therefore, no, because people say for law enforcement use only. There's nobody on there at all that doesn't know that. Therefore, the public deserves to know when it's used. Contrary to what many people think, Ancestry and 23andMe don't easily enable law enforcement searches. They almost never do, actually. And I don't know. It's amazing when you watch like HLN or these guys, they keep saying, yeah, so, wow, they were found by like Ancestry and 23andMe, and they just go on and on and on. It's, no, they're not used at all. They might be used to get the raw data kit to download, sure. with GEDmatch users, okay, so it says right here. It's weird because this is a pretty good article because it is saying a lot of the stuff. So it says right here, enforcement searches. So GEDmatch and family tree are what we're talking about here. With family tree DNA, you're opted in by default. I just said this a minute ago. With GEDmatch, users have to click a box. Because it's not in these court documents, it's difficult to know how many times it's been used or the kinds of cases in which law enforcement applies it. Why hide it? Asked Greg Hampikian, a biology professor at Boise State University who is also the director of Idaho Innocence Project. Having worked on 2 cases in Idaho in which forensic genealogy helped clear 2 people who were wrongfully convicted of murder, he knows firsthand that the foundational science is solid and the technique is valuable. But he's observed that the longer a novel forensic method stays hidden, the more room there is for errors in its application. Let's go get it tested in court, and let's tell the public about it, he said. Jennifer, I may have missed it, but man, you're right up. But have we any insight as to why the PCA statement stated his phone pinged near the home?
But have we any insight as to why the PCA stated his phone pinged near the home on the 14th of November? I think it said the 14th. But it doesn't believe the phone was in Moscow on that date.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that in the document. The only time it pinged near the home was the day, later in the day, and then months prior it was doing that. But the last time his phone ever pinged back in Moscow was on around 9, I think it was 9:12 in the morning. On the same morning, he came back. And then after that, it never came back there again. Or at least it didn't ping in the area again. We don't know if he came by to check things out, but he had his phone off. What do you mean the next day? I don't remember seeing anything that he came back the next day. It just could be me not remembering right now, though. Let's see. If I type in 14 here. Huh? Yeah, you guys. There was October 14th. That was a traffic stop. Let's see what this one. On December 23rd, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for historical phone records between... Yeah, he just says he wanted to look between November 12th and November 14th at 12 a.m. for Koberger's phone held by AT&T. Right? So they didn't find anything. I mean, they found that his phone pinged in, the Pullman area a couple times that day, but never in Moscow. Except I think when his phone did ping at 9 in the morning because he left it on because now he's not committing the murder. He was pretty stupid. I don't know where you're coming up with that. It's not in there. So, anyways, let me get back to this. I don't even know where I was. And since an investigative genetic genealogy lead is not direct evidence, there is no reason for... Yeah, see, I was kind of saying that earlier. It's not like... It's just a lead, right? But it's such a great lead, it's ridiculous. For the jury to hear about the lead generation by IgG... so the thing is, it's a lead generator, right? And then once that lead is generated, then it's up to actual... making a match. So the way it works, everybody, for those of you who don't know, is when you have an unknown, an unsub DNA, profile, you upload it to CODIS, and it's an unknown person. It's sitting there. It's a case you're working on. It's an unknown person. Then forensic genetic genealogy can give you a lead, and that allows you to go surreptitiously collect an item thrown away in public that is been discarded. That means it's not theirs anymore, right? Like, it's not like you don't even need a warrant to collect that. So you follow around a guy like Brian Kohberger for days and days, watching him drink maybe a Coke can, and he throws it into a garbage can. Then you grab the Coke can, you test the DNA, and then if it's a match, then a judge might give you a warrant to arrest him. Once he's arrested, you take a buccal swab of his mouth and you compare that sample. That's the only sample that you can then compare to the CODIS match, right? So then once those two match, boom, you've got your guy and the person's arrested. But the cigarette thrown away, the piece of chewing gum, all that stuff, that just leads you to get the warrant to to the probable cause. I guess that gives you the ability to arrest him, or maybe it gives you the warrant to get a buccal swab. And then once the buccal swab is obtained and that DNA matches the CODIS information, then you can arrest him on the murder because you've made your match. Man, I'm sure this is just boring as hell. The chat is moving about as slow as a snail might move. Maybe because it's so freaking interesting, right? Hey, thank you, Susie Q. Reynolds. Yeah, well, it's not exciting, I can tell you that. Most genealogists' approach is to not tell them. And if they are distant cousins, they might not. Let's see. One strange consequence of current policy is that even Kohberger's relatives may never know that their DNA profiles contributed to his arrest. That's because most genealogists' approach is to not tell them, right? You only talk to people when you maybe need somebody else that they're related to give a DNA sample to complete the tree out. Welcome, Jennifer Oram. That's because most genealogists... Okay, and then let's see. And if they are not distant cousins, they might not recognize his name. Several genealogists I talked to made the case that people would rather not know they are related to a suspected killers and rapists. John Hogan, a death investigator and business owner in Louds County, Georgia, disagrees. Hogan learned that his DNA profile helped arrest a second cousin for murder in 2019 only after a reporter told him, if they took the time to use something that is part of me, I need to know that something that is part of me is used. I don't know. You're checking the box, right? Maybe not on family tree DNA, but you definitely are on GEDmatch. You're clicking the box so you know that it's being used. Be nice to know, like, wow, hey, cool, I'm glad it helped. Would anybody be disappointed? I wouldn't be. I'd be like, holy shit, man, thank God I put my profile out there to catch the killer. Well, I wouldn't have wanted him to be arrested if it was my cousin G.
That's what I say, Greg.
I know, you spend all day doing your G.
That's not very nice, Greg. G.
See, there you go. There you go. Huh. Well, that sort of does open the door again for that. See, I always thought Kohberger was a little bit like this guy, too. Yeah. So here is the route that Kohberger took back. I still got to do a video on this one here. I think what's going to happen is after I get all of the different things, I'll put them all back together for one long video where you can just check it out. I need to get the answer, though, if the Johnson was an error when they said Johnson, Idaho. I doubt it, but definitely could be possible here, because that's in, you know, this little town right here called Johnson in Washington, and it's on that route. And they think he kind of cut across like this. So here, let's do a I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that he put any of the items that were in the murder in this area right here? Inside of this? I would say more like in here. You know, like right around in this. Well, I would put right here. If I was going to draw a circle, I would say right in this area, right there, is where he might have put something. Because the rest of it's just main highway stuff. Like this is all main highway. But this route that he took here to cut off is very convoluted. I mean, it's nuts. You come up into here, then you're driving around. There's almost nothing out here. Look at, there's a creek right here. How about we, you know, wouldn't that be crazy if he parked his car, walked in there, and just threw something out in the middle of nowhere like that? And there's a little creek that goes along this whole way here. And this from right here, so you can see it right here. See, this is a highway right here. It's 95 going down. Then it keeps going around like this. And let me get the roads on here. See, that's what normal people would be driving on. See, and then you come around and go up here on 95. But there's this really weird place that he took from here across. Now, it doesn't seem like it saved that much time because this is slower driving road, but it cuts across. Now, is that just to avoid the I don't know, like just to throw people off driving through there? And so you got right there. Or originally I had the Johnson area was over here, but it's not there. There was this other person, like remember that little farmhouse or something, and it landed on something named Johnson? Well, I think the Johnson in Idaho is right here. Okay, so it wasn't that spot, but the other spot was just right up in there, so it wasn't too far away. So it's right here off of Highway 11, and so that could be the spot. We don't know. Yep, we're still up. So I'm waiting for an answer from that detective. I don't know. Let's see if he randomly emailed me back. Doesn't look like it. Oh, and thanks for the everybody on PayPal there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanks to Jade Rigsby. Thank you very much. Make sure you get into the spin. And then also Vinyl Val saying thank you for the Chewbacca story. And thank you, Cairo, for letting me know that there's a Chewbacca story available, or, you know, at least in having it. And then Patty Blaine, thank you so much. And also Lark E, thank you. And there you go. Awesome. So thank you guys for the support there. There was a time period for a few hours where his phone pinged near national. Yeah, we went through, I made a whole video on it today. Yeah. I don't know if he was actually up in that area. I thought he was up here. I made a whole video on that today, Caitlin. So you might want to go check it out. For 6 hours, he's missing. So even if he didn't go over here, and he actually, the Johnson they're talking about is right there, why don't we just look at this and see if it makes sense. Just right here. This is the part. So the whole thing that I did today was right here. At 12:46 p.m., Koberger's phone then utilized cellular data in the area. By the way, say cellular 5 times fast. You can't do it. I can too, Gray. I was a linguistic major. At approximately 12:46 p.m., the Koberger phone then utilized cellular data in the area of the Albertsons grocery store at 400 Bridge Street in Clarkston. Surveillance footage obtained from the Albertson showed Koberger exit the white Elantra. So that was a huge moment right there. So now the Elantra that's been suspect vehicle number 1 is tied directly to Koberger physically, his face. I mean, it is him. And exits the white Elantra consistent with the suspect vehicle 1 at approximately 12:49 p.m. Interior surveillance cameras showed Koberger walk through the store, purchase unknown items in the checkout. So, I mean, you would think they'd be able to figure out what those were. And leave at approximately 1:04 p.m. Koberger's possible path of travel is depicted below. So he left at 1:04. You know, we already, if you watched the video earlier, it's all on there. Welcome, Linda Cosmo. So here's the part right here. Additional analysis of records for Koberger's phone indicated that between approximately 5:32 and 5:36 p.m., Koberger's phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Johnson, Idaho. Now, could that have meant Johnson, Washington, which is right there, and there's a cell tower right next to it. So that is a feather in the cap that was a typo, and that this right here is, you know, he somehow was in this general area, maybe. Okay? We don't know yet. Welcome, Linda Cosmo. Alright, then Koberger's phone then stops reporting to the network from approximately 5:36 p.m. to 8:30. So it just was for 4 minutes, and then it quit communicating in the network until 8:30. But I think that just means anywhere, not that tower. It just means it didn't ping anywhere at all in the entire cell phone network until 8:30. And then it says that is consistent with Koberger's phone being in the area that the phone traveled. See, I don't understand this. This is a really poorly written sentence right here. Like, I don't even know what this means. I think it means that is consistent with Koberger being, and it doesn't even have the word in, so it says that is consistent with the 8458 phone being the area, right? So the word in is missing, right? For sure, the word in is supposed to be there. So that is consistent with Koberger's phone being in the area that Koberger's phone traveled. Well, of course it would be, right? See, that's what I mean. It's like a double. If you read it the way it's worded here, it means, yes, his phone was in the area that the phone traveled. Well, of course it was. Because you know the phone traveled there, so his phone was in. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. What would make sense is if it said, that is consistent with Koberger being in the area that his phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time the homicides occurred, because they had just proven that he was at the Albertsons and everything. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to say there, because this doesn't make sense to anybody, right? That is consistent with Koberger, because 8458 is Koberger, right? That is consistent with the Koberger phone being in the area that Koberger's phone traveled in the hours. Okay, yeah. We already knew that. You didn't. The only sentence there would have to be is, this shows that Koberger's phone traveled in these areas immediately following, I hope you guys are seeing what I'm saying. That's why it's confusing as hell there. That is consistent with the Koberger phone being in the area that the Koberger phone traveled in the hours immediately followed. So let's see. That is consistent with the phone being in the area. That is consistent with the... Okay, so what maybe it's saying, that is consistent with the physical phone of Koberger being in the area that the ping data showed the phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time of the homicides occurred. What about that? No, it doesn't mean that. I just think it's... there's 3 spots that I struggle with in this, especially that one about the direction it was heading in town, right over here, that's where I have all this craziness right here, where it says right here, first it was heading north, then it headed south on this road right here, and then it eventually got out to 270, so I guess you could maybe make it go that way. I sent him an email about that and the other Johnson. Yeah. So we're at 3 hours and 12 minutes, everybody. And I think I'm going to get off of here. I've been staring. I got to do some work. Been staring at this computer all day, and my neck hurts. And so thank you way up there to Kubi. And then the next one was, it was me. And Georgina Stolker and Maxine Van Dyke. LMM. I should say that. Type in full sentences, for God's sakes. Don't pretend that we already know what you're saying. I think you're right about that. Oh, thanks, Krista Brenner and Tosh. All right. So we got Maxine Van Dyke, LMM, Annie T, Melissa South, the Mike D Experience. He's got a license to kill. You hope I know what time it is. It's time to get ill. I don't know if he said that. He said, I'm Mike D and I get respect. Your cash in your jewelry is what I expect. Trish Escaped, Gummo, Jen, Left a Life. And I just thanked everybody that was on PayPal throughout a couple different times. Adnaram, Mary Crossley, Mindy Lamento, Una, Tosh. Sounds like a rap. Sack and Fox Nanny, Tosh, Jason Padula, Just Pookie, Cheryl Bullock, Raleigh Slimery ASMR, Eddie Haskell, new member. Those are both 2 new members there. The Mike D Experience. I'd hire Gray for an audio engineer. FOH. What does FOH stand for? In those, the words that people use. Something on high. I don't know. Mel Moore. Brown-eyed girl. 714. Yabba dabba doo. Juju Bean. Snarky Cinderella. Tracy A. Billy Juliana. Simple Life Days. Darlene White. Paula Voltaire. WNC Granny, Vanessa Dance, Richard, Not Your Average Chick, Garden Girl 9, Tosh, Nikki Zubs, Sosie, Zach Thornhill, Brianna 25, George Leonard, Tosh, Buck and Nutty, Gummo, Kathy Shiflet, I think it says, Sosie, Amethyst Eyes, Joshua, 8675309. Thanks, Jim. Gullenvern, George Leonard, 2 months, and then Amethyst Eyes, a new member. SV Kathy, Amethyst Eyes, Gullenvern, Eugenie, Christy Quasi, Jamie, Not Your Average Chick, Darcy M, Jeff, Missing Person Cases Network, Lisa Wilkerson, Jennifer Orem again, Susie Q Reynolds, then new member Jennifer Orem, new member Bev Q, then a new member Linda Cosma, then Tosh, and Krista Brenner. So thank you guys very much. I think tonight we'll just spin for the Wow Just Wow mug. How about that? Just one of those. And then someday when I get the notebooks, maybe I'll add a notebook. Just do like a notebook here and there or something. Full of haggis. What does that mean? Jennifer Orem. Great. Hughes investigates. Can we argue about the difference between a twin bed and a single bed? Yes, the single bed was the term used by absolute morons like myself who just said, hey, it's a single bed, even though I always knew that the twin bed is the small little bed that you sleep on.
A twin bed and single bed before we go to bed?
Yes, that'd be a fun conversation. Yeah. All right. Where is the wheel? There it is. The Wheel of Names. You know, the bed that twins sleep in. Not together, but right next to each other. Alright, you guys, here we go. We're going to do the spin now. Woo! Look at that. Kubi wins the Wow Just Wow mug. And that was funny because she was the very first person. And that was with the, I think a single 5 won that one. You go, you guys. Anything works for that. Anything works. All right. Well, guess what? We're going to do a flyby. We're going to go back to Paul Bunyan's toilet, okay? You guys okay with that? Back to Paul Bunyan's toilet, everybody. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Alright, so we'll be there in just a minute, everybody. So thank you all very much for watching, and as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And also, hey, thank you very much for supporting the channel. I know it was sort of a struggle tonight, but at least we made it some place where we can do the, give away something and, keep on trucking for the month. All right, so see you guys later, and be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this.
What do you mean Gray cracked you up? What about me?
And during this
What
whole
about
time,
me,
I have
Potty?
not seen one person.
What about me, Potty?
That is.
What do you mean,
Potty? Crime detector.
I'm just pronouncing it, like an Irish person.
I'm a certified. What do you mean they don't say potty? Detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and
Play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture.
Crime collector, freak connector.
And I'm always gonna be a protector.
Fool deflector,
Interceptor. And I'm needle than a speckle with a vector.
On his pector, with all respect, y'all. Just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no agenda. And I'll serve it to you straight without the blender.
And in the end, I'm gonna send you
on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Hey Greg, can we do the flyby tonight?
Yeah, so I'll just.
Yeah,
I already said we was doing the flyby.
Oh, I didn't hear you, Greg. I was reading something. The comments.
How about you pay attention to the show every once in a while, Mary Lou? I said we're doing a flyby.
Okay, good.
Poor Mary Lou. I tell you, she just never really catches a break, right?
I sure don't, Gray. You're always so mean to me. Hey, wait a minute, Gray, that was Paul Bunyan's toilet again. I saw it was right there. Yeah, right there, Gray, Paul Bunyan's toilet. Gray, I really like it.
Sure, Mary Lou, let's do it. It should be really keen and neat.
Keen and neat? Man.
Hey everybody, thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it, and hope you guys like the flyby where Mary Lou sings along joyously to the music. Alright, so we'll see you guys tomorrow, obviously. And thank you all for being here and continuing to support the channel. Hit that like button on the way out the door, and make sure to share the channel and all the laughter and stuff that we do around here that's not related. We laugh when it's not related to true crime, unless it's a really stupid criminal or something that Grady Judd says.
This guy may be like the dumbest person on the face of the earth.
Now, you're not talking about me, are you, Grady Judd? I always wonder about that whenever I play that at the end.
There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp.
Alright, you guys, that's it. I'm going to play the rap one more time. As I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while.
Cool, Greg. Cool. I really like the rap. Really, the main part that I like is when Lori comes by, and then she starts doing this like,
"What, cha-chas?"
Crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like a
old projector. Crime sector. What are we gonna win? What about twins? 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60.
Wow, you should do the auctioneer, Mary Lou.
And I'm meaner than a spectre with a
thank you.
vector
I really
on
should.
his spectre. With all respect, y'all. Just remember, I've a temper fucking check job. I have no agenda.
I'm a bartender.
And I'll serve it to you straight without the blender.
And in the end,
I'm gonna send ya
on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Hey, man, that was really cool,
Yeah,
Mary
so I'll
Lou.
just get right back to work.
That was
All right,
really
everybody.
cool.
Talk to you.
Why, are you trying to sound like me?
Well, I was a little bit, sort of at your level, the friendly. Forget it. All right, you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And
What do you mean, the little friendly?
I don't know, Mary Lou. You sound like you're upset about something. All right. So we'll just see you tomorrow, okay? And everything will be just fine. I'm sure somebody will make a video about this because they think you're real or something.
What do you mean I'm not real? Did you hear that, other people? Oh, God. I said I wasn't real. Oh, God.
Oh, my God, Mary Lou. Are you okay? Okay, you're real.
Oh, I'm just kidding, Grant. I'm not really upset. Bye, guide, everybody.
Oh, my God. Ridiculous. Almost had me fooled that time. Almost had me fooled. All right, see you guys later. Be safe out there.
There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp.
Huh? It's a house.